across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, I warn you, this show may well be torturously geeky. The reason is because Pete Barnes is in as usual.
Yes.
Pete Barnes is from the ward of Orrell in Makerfield.
Yes.
Orrell is from
Yeah.
Right. So not only that, but up until 1997, the ward that is currently Loughton West and Goulburn, where I'm from, was in Makerfield.
I know, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
we're going to geek out. No one's going to have a clue what we're talking about.
It's going to be a complete geek thing, but I'll tell you why it's going to be a really, really important show, and it's this. There is just this, King of the North, Andy Burnham, professional scouser, but he's the Mayor of Manchester, right? There's all this that people assume that he's going to win. At the last local elections, Orrell, which is a former safe Conservative seat, became a safe Reform seat, beating Michael Winstanley, who has been a long-standing Conservative, former Vice President of the Conservative Party, awarded an OBE for services to the Conservative Party, and former Conservative candidate for Makefield, beaten by Reform. Reform got 50%. Labour got 27%. Where this is going to be interesting, if you are interested in a realignment in politics, and Peter can disagree with it, and we've got George Madgwick just in a second coming up. I'm telling you, Reform don't want to win Makerfield, because if they lose Makerfield to Andy Burnham, he will resign as Mayor of Greater Manchester. I think they're a shoo-in in Greater Manchester.
Especially if Gary Neville's standing.
So I've been talking about this pretty much all day. Once people find out that you're from there, my phone's not stopped. But if Reform lose this, they've got a bigger problem on their hands.
Go on.
Andy Burnham is the only guy that could beat Reform. He goes in as number 10. Green support collapses, Lib Dem support collapses, everybody flocks back to the anti-Nigel vote. The anti-Nigel vote has a candidate that can win.
Do you know what, James,
in the red wall that was going Reform?
Do you know what James Grundy, the former MP for Lee, Conservative MP for Lee, said to me? I wonder whether Reform UK, I wonder whether Nigel Farage is going to run a fully funded campaign in Makerfield or personally fund Britain's independent nuclear deterrent. Because it's going to be that level, isn't it?
But again, you spend that amount of money, you don't win. That is a credibility problem.
Well, it's what's the demography of that area then?
97% white.
Right.
In fact, in Makerfield, there are more pregnant teenagers than there are black people.
Yes.
Wow.
Right, okay, let's go straight to George Madgwick, because I know he's not got an enormous amount of time. And the reason I want to go to George is because it has been a phenomenal week for Reform, and congratulations. I understand that tonight he's become the Reform leader on Hampshire County Council. Okay, George, I'll tell you what, I always say this when it's a big topic. Why don't I hand over to you and you just tell us your impressions of what's happened in the past week?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great week. It's been an incredibly busy week, as you know, all around, from local elections and now national. And it's been interesting. I mean, let's go for local straight away. I mean, we've had some great results as Reform UK across the country. We're seeing some really, really good results, which is fantastic. As I say, in Hampshire, which is kind of nice, because when I first come on this show back in the summer last year, I was just a normal backbench councillor, then become leader of the opposition in Portsmouth, and now I'm the leader of Hampshire. So it's been a really busy 9 months for me. Really, really enjoyable though, and I'm ready to take those balls by the horn, absolutely, and do some good things in Hampshire County Council. From a national angle though, it's been more interesting, and I think that the conversation you and Pete were having just before we started is really interesting, because you're right. I think that Reform are in pole position to take the mayor position should Andy Burnham resign, but equally I think I agree with Pete. You know, Andy Burnham would potentially get those Green voters back and get those soft Liberal voters back and cause some issues in a red wall that's currently competitive. So, look, us as Reform, we want to win everything. We will absolutely be going out to win this.
Are we agreed? Are we agreed, George, that that if Andy Burnham wins Makerfield, so let's just be clear to absolutely everybody just before we start this conversation, winning Makerfield for Labour is not a shoo-in. It is not a shoo-in, and if Andy Burnham wins, it will be a genuine achievement. Latest polling is 41% Reform, 28% Labour. Local elections, 50% Reform, 27% Labour, but pretty consistent. Clearly, he becomes the next Prime Minister, doesn't he? Because he says, I'm the only person that can beat Nigel Farage, and I've just proved it. Because ultimately, when they said Andy Burnham needs a safe seat, for him to run for. He is not running for a safe seat. He's running for a Reform notional majority seat.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that seat is safe for Labour in any capacity. I think, you know, a poll come out today which showed that if Andy Burnham was the candidate for Makerfield, then it does become a little closer. Let's make no mistake in that. It doesn't kind of become the shoe-in that the polls are saying for Reform. So it makes it a lot more competitive. It won't just be an easy ride for us. It will, of course, be a tough ride. And also, we've got to deal with the Labour Party machine that will absolutely send... well, they'll send a war machine and a war chest.
Who's going to be your candidate, George?
We don't know yet. Well, our candidate.
So who are the ideas? Who's in the?
If they don't pick the local guy, they're going to lose.
What about Maggie Oliver?
I've got to be honest with you. The name I've been
Robert
given.
Kenyon.
Robert Kenyon.
Yeah. Well, he was the candidate in 2024 before Reform were even a thing, and he took nearly 30% of the vote. He's just won his ward seat like by 50% of the vote. He's very popular.
My instinct, and let's be clear, Pete, we are people who are well known and from Makerfield. Yeah. My instinct is don't bother with a well-known person.
I disagree.
I
disagree on that because the thing you have to remember about Makerfield, it's 6 different elections in one.
Right, yeah.
It's not just one national narrative. It's former Labour, it's young people, it's old people. There's lots of different types of people that live there, and they all want different things. So and the one thing Reform actually struggled with in Wales and in Scotland was authenticity. They don't have that connection. They do.
Well, let me ask you this: why aren't you applying? Oh, mind you, Farage hates you
exactly.
after you insulted
him. To be fair, a lot of people on X have said I should be standing, and I'm like, just go through the timeline, and then you might see why I'm not.
What happened with you and Farage? How did you?
No, I'm just a big critic of Reform.
Yeah,
I just don't. For me, I think they'll win. I think
he's very sensitive.
Yeah, I think they'll take.
Do you think they'll beat Burnham?
I think Andy Burnham's got an ice cube in hell has got more chance of surviving.
Really?
Yeah. I think he's going to take it. I think Reform will walk it because it's not Manchester.
Can I be totally honest with you? Can I be totally honest with you, George? I'm with Pete. I'll tell you why. My instinct is that the problem you've got in Makerfield is there's a huge sense. Now, look, at the end of the day, my dad now lives in Goulburn. All of this geography is going to become clear to everybody soon. My local station is Newton the Willows. You'll become familiar with that place pretty soon. Anyway, the voters, it seems to me, first of all, have not changed their opinion on anything. Nope. They are still patriotic, economically left-wing people, right, who believe in things like the trade unions, who believe in, workers' rights, who believe in sort of not socialist economics, but centre-left economics. The problem is they don't believe Labour believes that.
Yeah.
Now, I've said this before about Lee East Labour Club, where Andy Burnham is banned for being pro-European.
Yeah.
Right. Now
right.
You are talking about potentially. I think if Andy Burnham went into Wetherspoons tonight in Ashton, I think he'd have real trouble making it out without being seriously abused.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And I always say that it's because that bit of the country in Greater Manchester considers itself Lancashire.
Yeah,
they still write it on the addresses.
The problem that Andy Burnham has got, George, and I don't know if this is true for the bit that you run because you are the South East Regional Coordinator for Reform. The problem is a lot of people believe whatever Andy Burnham is or whatever he isn't, the Labour Party have fundamentally let them down. The Labour Party hate them, and actually this will be more of an opportunity to blood the nose of the Labour Party than it will be, because there's just this assumption that the people of Makerfield wants Labour back.
No one knows what he stands for. And have you seen the state of Piccadilly, or they call it Crackadilly Gardens? It's unbelievable. This is him running that. The Manchester police will put in special measures.
That's good.
You know, you look at the areas in Greater Manchester that are a problem with the rape gangs. How come they think he's even got a chance?
And I think that kind of overzealous confidence that I'm going to stand down as an MP because Andy Burnham is going to come Prime Minister is not going to brush with these people. No. It's the air of arrogance of entitlement. Just one.
I mean, to be fair, Josh Simons stood down because he allegedly paid private investigators to follow Times journalists. Yeah. Right, that's why he really stood down.
I will say though, he was actually pretty popular in the area.
Was he?
Because he was doing something, and this is why I think the local bit is very important.
But hang on a second, to everybody, don't look. My instinct about Makerfield is that Burnham will lose, right? But then I think to myself, there's always a bounce related to a party leader. Look at Sedgefield and Tony Blair.
True.
right?
Yeah.
Where the Conservative vote crashed, and when Blair left, it actually went Tory. Sedgefield. Surely, George, the voters that you meet would give Labour a second chance if they changed.
Well, you're also going to see tactical voting 100% in this election. Make no mistake. All the Greens, all the Liberals, all the trade unionists are all going to muscle their support behind Andy Burnham. That is going to happen. So this is going to be a 50-50 shootout between the two. So I agree with you that Reform are looking good in the polls. We don't take anything for granted. I do agree with Pete that we should have a localised candidate, and, you know, I'm not involved in that process at all.
No.
But I know that the applications are open until Sunday. I know there's been many people applied for it already, and let's see what comes up. But we need to get the right candidate, the right message in, and not take any vote for granted. And I think that's what Labour are doing.
The amazing thing about this, it seems to me, having watched many by-elections, George, whoever loses, the media are going to say, you should have won that, you were guaranteed to win. If it's Reform that loses, they'll go, look, you were ahead in the polls. If it's Andy Burnham that loses, they'll go, well, you're Andy Burnham. And it's one of those odd situations where both sides are expected to win.
You're right, but I think in this instance that if Andy Burnham is the candidate, which it looks like he may be, it is theirs to lose. You know, the expectation is we're putting Andy Burnham in this seat because he is going to become our Prime Minister. That is what the left of the Labour Party are thinking.
It's presumptuous, isn't it?
I will say that.
So presumptuous.
Sorry to interrupt that. The Reform Party cannot allow this to be a referendum on Starmer because Andy Burnham will win, because they'll say Andy gets rid of Starmer. That's very attractive to people that don't like Labour Party. So they have to keep this a referendum on Andy Burnham. But it's Andy. I'll tell you what
I'm going to do, George. I know you're really busy. Thank you so much for coming on.
What are you doing?
I just want to ask you one final question before I let you go. So Hampshire, forgive me if I'm wrong, but Hampshire, didn't the Liberal Democrats take it? Tell us a little bit about what went on in that election.
So Liberal Democrats took Portsmouth. In Hampshire, it's been a lot closer for the county council. Conservatives lost overall control by a landslide. Actually, they had an absolute landslide majority before. They're down to 27 seats. Liberals are now at 26, and we're at 20, with one Labour and one Green, which is wonderful. So they've been wiped out entirely. So it's now all to play for. It's a complete minority coalition going.
And what went wrong in Portsmouth? Is it just split voting?
Yeah, well, in Portsmouth, we noticed massive amounts of increased votes. So our vote share, the votes cast across the city was actually up 9%. So it was really, really good. We won a net gain of 2 seats, and we were the popular party. We won 33% of the vote. However, we only won 5 seats, and on 30% of the vote, Liberals won 8. So this is where our issue come in. So they got less votes, but won almost double the amount of seats. So yeah, they took control of the council. We are now firmly the leaders of the opposition, ready to hold them to account for local government reorganisation coming up.
Also, before we thank George, I just want to give you some good news for you to relay to all of your political campaigners. There is not many things in Makerfield, but as I said yesterday, there is both a KFC and a Wetherspoons.
What more do you need?
Anybody who has been a political campaigner outside your own area, trudging round all day, will know the value of having a KFC.
Is it a good KFC? Because they're all different, aren't they? Anyway, yeah. Thanks.
Hopefully, I'm going up there in the next couple of
Will
days.
You let us know if it's good Kentucky Fried Chicken and Wetherspoons?
Do me a favour, George. I'm actually heading up there probably tomorrow as well. So give me a shout when you're on the ground.
Will do, mate. Will do.
Cheers.
That's George Madrick, Councillor George Madrick, leader Reform UK Hampshire, and he's doing all right, isn't he? But before we're going to go to a break, people, let's have a look at a little vox pops. People talking in Makerfield, where Andy Burnham says he's going to make Makerfield great again. Let's have a look. Press play on the video player.
The mayor of where he's from. No. You don't want to know. Go on. Andy Burnham, do you think he's going to be welcome round there? No. No? Fair enough. Down south they call him the King of the North, but he's not, is he? No. Not my king. Do you think Andy Burnham's going to be welcome round there?
I would imagine so.
Yeah, do you not think it favour reform?
Well, it's going that way, isn't it? A lot of people.
In this constituency, do you think?
Yeah.
Who would you vote for?
Reform.
Yeah, why is that?
Just the immigration policies and everything, in my opinion.
Fair enough. I'm just wondering if you think Andy Burnham is welcome round there.
Haven't got a clue who he is.
He's the mayor of Manchester.
Still don't see him involved there.
Reform or Labour?
The world get on.
Reform or Labour?
Listen, get on immigrants, sir. We'll start voting.
Was your favour? Oh yeah? What's made you change your mind?
Well,
Mr. Starmer, really.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Why? Just his performance, or...?
Yeah. I think he's let us down.
So who do you think you'll be voting for in the by-election?
I'm not allowed to bother.
I've always thought that all the load you all promised this, all of them. Promised this, promised that.
Yeah.
So, although I voted Labour, could do something about the immigrants, to be honest. Yeah. There's quite a lot are here, thousands. And we're only a small country, so it doesn't fit well with me, sorry.
What are you voting for in the by-election round here?
Nigel Farage. He speaks his mind, doesn't he? Oh, it's a waste of time, Labour.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm not keen on the guy who's in at the moment. Starmer. No, I'm not keen on him.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, so apparently if there's bubbles in the toilet at the end, that is a sign of renal failure. Oh, sorry, hello, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker.
Then. I mean,
and
not
Asher
normal.
Gould.
It's not normal for it to effervesce.
No, I'm sorry. Right.
He thinks that's no. Doesn't yours do that? No.
Right, if you wee in the toilet, there's a small amount of bubbles.
No, mine doesn't have a head.
Right, it's not
a Guinness.
It's
not quite a Guinness.
It's not a head. Right, okay. Look, the other big thing this weekend is the Unite the Kingdom rally, which I have to say I am furious about what has taken place. There's active facial recognition, which means that the Metropolitan Police will be intimidating you with sticking big cameras
only
in your
on one
face
side
on your way. Yeah. That will not be taking place for the Nakba celebration or lament tomorrow. By the way, I didn't know this. Nakba, which is apparently the anniversary of when the Jews threw the Palestinians out of their ancestral home, but we can argue about that later. But
it's Independence Day.
But the anniversary is today, not tomorrow. Yeah. They're having the protest tomorrow in order to coincide with the Tommy Robinson Unite the Kingdom march. OK, let's just be clear. So first of all, you've got the facial recognition. Also, the police have said they will have armoured personnel carriers down there just in case anything kicks off. Obviously, only for patriots, not for the jihadis. And also, they have banned lots of people coming to the country next year, of course.
Journalists included, American journalists.
A member of the European Parliament.
Yeah. Next year, I think, I mean, if the person had turned up on a boat and shouted Allahu Akbar, they would have been allowed straight in, wouldn't
they? Probably stayed at the Ritz by then.
I'm worried about agent provocateurs. I mean, probably one of the worst was Starmer himself. And let's have a look at the video of Starmer talking and really ratcheting up the situation and basically accusing anyone who goes. And remember, Trevor Phillips said these were normal people who you'd meet down in the shops. Let's see what Starmer says about normal people who go on these, who's going on this march.
Tomorrow's march in London is a reminder of what we're up against in the battle of our values. The organisers, including convicted thugs and racists, are peddling hatred and division, plain and simple. Their goal is to convince people that Britain's problems are caused by those living alongside them. But that is not the Britain that I know. This is a country built on decency, fairness and respect. A country that is at its best when people from different backgrounds come together in common purpose. This is our country, with a majority who share those values, a majority who may not always be as loud, but must always define who we are. So, my government will not stand in the way of peaceful protest, but we will act decisively against hatred. We will use the full force of the law when that hatred manifests as violence. And we will ban those coming into the UK who seek to stir it up, as we have done already. Because this country belongs to all of us. And I will not tolerate anyone who seeks to stand in the way of that.
Well, let's be clear, that is a mistake. But there is one thing we can agree with Keir Starmer on. The Unite the Kingdom rally and the grievances of people who are concerned by uncontrolled immigration, who are concerned by grooming gangs, who are concerned by, trans in schools, who are concerned by the denigration of our armed forces, who are concerned about the way that their family values are being trampled on in favour of an internationalist elite, people who are angry about mandatory vaccines that are untested. Those people, I agree with Keir Starmer. That's not the Britain he knows.
He doesn't know Britain.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He's not met those people.
No,
we all agree on that.
Yeah, I'm going to say he says he's going to act decisively. Well, there's two Jews in Golders Green that would rather beg to differ.
Yeah, that's right.
There's, after the Manchester attack, he doesn't act decisively,
and he's not stopping hate.
Care.
I mean, we have hate every other week in London.
It's picking a fight.
Yeah.
That's picking a fight.
Isn't he inciting it? Doesn't it seem that he's trying to goad, almost? He's goading them.
That's also a Prime Minister trying to sound like he's in charge.
Could he be trying to lose the Makerfield by-election?
That's a good question.
Would he like
Burnham to lose?
Give us a second.
That'll play
that will sink like a sack of rocks in Makerfield.
Yeah, it will. And that's a good question. Will Starmer try to mess with it? That's a very good question. I actually don't know.
He tried to block it first, now he's allowed it because he knows...
Do you know my actual answer to that? I don't think that Keir Starmer has got the sense to understand how badly that will play. To him, he's speaking up for a silent majority who love uncontrolled immigration, who believe that bringing uncontrolled jihadis into the country is marvellous, who believe that the rape of children is a conspiracy theory.
I think you're right, because I think he's trying to... It's obvious after the locals, and particularly after the previous by-election, he's going to try to get the progressive vote back. He's not interested in trying to win back reform. So that's why Leave to Remain isn't going to be touched on, why we're going back into the European Union. He's going for that group. It might play well with that group a little bit, to the dinner party set maybe, but to the actual people that will turn out to vote what's looking like going to be the 18th of June, it'll play absolutely terrible, because he's insulting those people.
Is this Pete? And I'm going to ask Asher in a moment as well, because actually, just because we're both from Makerfield doesn't mean we have a right to dominate the show. Apologies, Asher. But
I'm not from Makerfield.
Is this the fundamental problem? That there are two Labour parties. There is one that exists historically, the Labour and Trade Union movement. Look, we never loved the kind of Tom Sherratts of this world, if you like, the leader of Wigan Council, or no, actually it was Lord Smith, wasn't it? Lord Smith of Lee, all right lads, all that sort of thing. But but they were old school, NUM, trade union, that man the barricades, Maggie's a shit, you know, and all that sort of thing. And it was those sorts of people. The modern Labour Party, which is the second Labour Party, it's all about trans rights, LGBT, uncontrolled immigration, support for the European Union, international law, the UN, you know, support, all that sort of stuff. And the reality is, and you know, my dad lives, believe it or not, even though my dad lives in the middle of Gould, he lives in the middle of nowhere because it's on the church estate. So when I go up there, try to upload for my YouTube channel, I actually have to go to the Wetherspoons in Ashton. Right. Those people, can I tell you, and I'm not being rude, have got no interest in trans rights. Yes. Right? They've got no interest in gay adoption. They've got no interest in the EU. And it's exactly the same, actually, I guess, as what Asher's going to say about ordinary people in London who actually are exactly the same. They're like, well, you know, these Jewish guys who are turning up for the king, they're not interested in bloody uncontrolled immigration. I mean, you know, anyway, sorry.
It's not about a sectarian. I mean, you know, all these elections based around Gaza.
And this is going to be. This is the bit that's interesting about Makerfield. It's 97% white. There's no Muslim majority or minority or anything like that. So the normal narratives that the Labour Party would play to, they don't exist. Yes. And this is why you're right about the two Labour parties. Because the one thing that the people in that area really hate, scroungers. They don't like people who don't go to work. They take great pride in providing for families. They want a fair shot. They don't want a handout. That's what the Labour Party got wrong.
So the problem is when a Labour Party politician knocks on the door and starts saying, you know, we have supported an increase in benefits. That's going to play badly.
That's going to play badly because that's people who have gone to work and it's out of their pay packet.
But why have Labour done it then?
Because they've shifted.
They don't care about people from Makefield.
Is it Starmer? You know, he doesn't really want the Labour Party to do well after he's gone. He's that sort of person.
I have to admit,
I think he'd like Burnham to lose.
I've started to believe that actually because saving the Labour Party and saving Keir Starmer are two very different
actions. He doesn't care. He was only a member of the Labour Party for 8 years to become an MP.
I mean, let me ask you this question. Purely hypothetically, if, and this is not going to happen, if there was an election in Makerfield between Andy Burnham and Tommy Robinson, would Tommy Robinson win?
Yes.
Would he massively win? Because some people are going to say he takes it too far.
Yes, that's the problem there. But I do think he would win because he's talking about the issues in a way they care about.
But he's not local, he's from down south. Wouldn't that affect things?
The Reform and apparently Restore is making an announcement on Monday. But if they run, it's not small boats. It's immigrants taking benefits. It's that bit of the story.
That's
not
the big story, though. It's the legal immigrants, really.
Yeah, it is the fact that the people who are going to work are having their pay package, having money taken out, and it's going to them.
And the people they're in the top 10%. We talked about it yesterday. They're in the top 10% of earners. If you've got 4 kids and a house paid for, you're basically on over 60 odd grand in benefits. That puts you in the top 10%. You're rich on benefits.
I mean, I find the whole thing extraordinary. But one thing that the Labour Party can't seem to get their head around is this. They go, people voting most strongly against immigration are the places that don't have much of it. Yes, because they don't want it.
Yes, exactly.
They're going, we've been to Manchester.
They've seen what's happened to all the other places.
True, but the one thing also you have to make feel, I don't, we have to talk about, but its home ownership is very, very high in the area. So therefore community is a big thing. I mean, everybody knows everybody. You can't do anything there without somebody finding out. Growing up there is infuriating, but that means that people care about crime, antisocial behaviour, and they want the place to look nice. That's why I keep the local issues are the really dominant one, because people want their community
just
to feel
a matter
better.
of interest. I've been trying to give people the geography of this. All I can say, the only thing I can say, is the biggest landmark in Makerfield is not in Makerfield, Haydock Racecourse. Because it's not in Makerfield.
No.
But is there anything in Makerfield that people would know?
Do they have a nice brass band? You know.
Well, they do. But they don't.
It's a couple of villages, isn't it? It's Orrell, it's Ince, it's Ashton,
Abram. Winstanley, yeah, so it's about 6 or 7 wards.
I mean, what
altogether.
makes me laugh is the Conservative. This is just so Tory, isn't it? Everybody with the surname Winstanley is from the tribe that set up the village of Winstanley, and the Conservative candidate was Mike Winstanley.
I know, yeah.
Right, literally, what are they doing?
But that's actually Winstanley is a good example. Winstanley College, one of the top colleges of the country, is in that constituency. This is, you know, actually, people take a great pride in that, and you know, it's a big pull for the
area.
Went?
Did you go there?
I went there. But why again the fact that it's mainly cost of living, it's services, it has an older population, which is a big important point. But it has farming, post-industrial, post-mining. It's got a lot of young families. It's got a lot of old people. It's lots of different things. So the one thing that the Labour Party get wrong...
It reminds me, it's almost like... it's like a small Stoke-on-Trent. You know, Stoke-on-Trent is kind of about 4 different places, like 8 different villages.
That is going to be the next general election. That's why this is most fascinating, because the next general election is not just one narrative. It's so many different... That's the one thing we learned from the locals. It's lots of different things, and lots of people often shouting contradictory things. So it's, who do you pick? This is the really, really, like, fascinating bit about what we're going to watch now, because I do think there is a way for Andy Burnham to win, definitely. But if, and I thought George made a really good point, this is the first time tactical voting might actually be on the cards, and we might see if there is coordination as we think.
And there won't be maybe like family voting as much.
Well, there won't be.
There's no Muslim population.
There's no one to do it. But it's interesting. It's interesting. If there were other political commentators on the circuit from Makerfield, we would know them.
Yes.
There aren't. There's only us two, and we both say Burnham will lose.
Right, look, I've got to take a little break at this juncture, but we're going to take your calls after this break. 03444991000 if you'd like to chip in. We've got Mark and Grace are going to come up, and Cindy and Heather, and you too. And you can also leave us a WhatsApp message on that number, 03444991000. So they should sell Makerfield is like a small Stoke-on-Trent. That should be their selling point.
We are the little Stoke-on-Trent.
0344449911000. It's Andre Nash with Pete Barnes on Talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Pete Barnes is in. Pete and I are out geeking each other because whilst he...
Well, I didn't understand all that. It's far too complex for the common intellectual.
He spent his entire life living in Makerfield. I was merely born in the constituency. By the way, just to catch up, I warn you, if there were other political commentators from Makerfield, Pete and I would know them. We think there aren't any, and we say Burnham's going to lose.
And everybody I know who's on the circuit does not understand that constituency.
No.
They don't.
Well, no, like you were saying earlier, there's no actual place. You got to try and look for Makefield. There isn't. It's made up of, like, the only one I can remember is Oral for some reason. But there's about 4 or 5.
It's 2 constituencies put together.
Winston's Cottage. What was it called?
Winston is one of the wards, but it's Ashton in Makerfield and Ince in Makerfield, and they just put it together and they made Makerfield.
Which doesn't really exist.
Ince in Makerfield was Labour from 1906 to 1983. That is the kind of area that it is, and the fact that Andy Burnham can't win this outright is a story in itself.
Let's just be clear. Up until probably, about 2001, I bet the National Union of Mine Workers decided who the candidate was.
Oh, yes.
Labour candidate.
Also, interestingly, the English Defence League used to have their conferences in Wigan. And
whereabouts?
They used to have it at...
on the pier.
Just right near where Wigan Pier is, actually, where the JJB Stadium and all that kind of stuff.
Robin Park.
Robin Parkway,
Didn't he start Greg's... No, what was it? He had a business, didn't he? What was it?
No, Greg's is from Newcastle.
He had sports shops, didn't he? JJB Sports.
What's his name?
Dave Whelan.
Dave Whelan, you don't bring his name up there.
Why did he not like Dave Whelan?
He was great. He made that club, didn't he?
But we're rugby league. So there was a big right.
That's
they
true.
shared
You
a
don't
stadium.
like that, do you?
Yeah, but again, that's a really big factor. Is the community aspect is local sports teams. It's that sense of community is very, very strong. And you suddenly parachute in somebody who doesn't speak the language as it is.
You're not from round these parts. It's that, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I've lived there pretty much my entire life.
They even say treat you as a stranger, and you've lived there all your life.
The Conservatives ran Culvere Ranger one year with a turban and a beard, and he said he got on with them fine because he said in the end they didn't turn out to be racist. They were just very concerned about family values. When they discovered that all Sikhs in turbans opposed gay marriage, they were very nice to him. They're not going to be. Can I tell you? They're not going to be keen on some of the Ezzy Izzard type people turning up. So those people will have problems.
You get a lot of those going to the sixth form college to Winstonley, and at lunchtime they kind of make their way into Oral, where there's like shops and stuff. It's not gone down well when someone's coming at you with a straight fringe and blue hair.
I remember. I'll tell you a story before we go to the phones. If you remember, there was a video of allegedly of James Grundy, the Member of Parliament for Lee, exposing himself in a pub. What had happened actually was a girl had got him very drunk. I told him to take his trousers down when he was younger, not before he was an MP.
And he fell over, and it was all a big misunderstanding.
No, tried to film it and then tried to sell it. And the people of Lee were very upset about the fact this video had been made. And then later on, he became an MP. Now, the day James Grundy was elected to Parliament, the day after on the Friday, what happened was people were going, I'll tell you what, Labour will not let us away with this. They'll come down bloody dirty tricks. You know what Labour are like. So they were ready for them. Yeah. Right. LBC ran the video of James Grundy with his trousers down, and I had a friend of mine from LBC phone me up and he went, I'm going to Lee to talk to the locals. I went, do not get off the train.
Yeah.
Stay
on the train. And
if you get off the train at Warrington or Wigan...
Did you trick him into taking his trousers down?
So hang on, let me finish the story. So here's what happened. They said, this guy said, I'm going to the Church Inn in Lowton. Oh, now that's a big error. That's a big error.
I mean, I don't go there.
Right. So he said, I'm going to the church. He phoned me back and he said, he opened the door and went, does anyone know James Grundy? And a glass hit the wall. Right? Yeah. And immediately I said to them,
I was going to say to you in the break then, I spoke to my parents and a lot of my friends who are still there. They're already annoyed at journalists and pollsters already poking their nose in. This is not the kind of place where you...
I'm not going to use the word...
Sticking their nose in their business.
But if you are offended by the word that goes P-U-F-F-T-E-R, well, actually, I spelled that wrong. but if you don't think if you find Southern Fairy offensive, my advice is do not get off the train at Ince.
Develop hard skin quickly.
Because look, there's a bloody other one on our street, Margaret. I've told him.
What is
I've
that?
told him get out of here.
You need
get
to
out of here. Look at that with blue hair.
Yeah.
Look at we're not having that.
It was funny this afternoon.
I'll tell you the best phrase. The best phrase you ever hear from someone from around there is, "He wouldn't last 5 minutes round our way."
Yeah, I was on with Kevin this afternoon, and we watched the video that we saw earlier. And obviously one of the guys he sounds drunk. I was like, that's just how everybody sounds.
Yeah,
they are drunk, aren't they? I mean, where else you just got the Wetherspoons and the KFC?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to Mark in Lincolnshire. All right, Mark. Mark.
Hi there, Ash.
All right, how you doing, man?
Yeah, not so
By the
bad.
way, I was at Alan Brazil's charity luncheon earlier. It was fantastic at a hotel.
Did you not have a couple?
Cool. You can't tell, can you? No, hide it.
You're not drunk.
No, it was at lunchtime. Don't worry about that. But it was great to see Dean Saunders. Obviously, Alan wasn't there. He's recuperating after a big operation. So, all right, Alan. But it was great.
Sorry, not operation, big session.
No, he did have a serious operation. But Tony Cascarino was there. Dean Saunders, Shaban, who presents the weekend breakfast, and it was Dean Saunders, and it was a great afternoon with all.
What was it in favour of?
It was for the talks. Well, basically, I'm not sure. It was Alan Brazil. He's got a few charities. One was, I think, a hospital in Ipswich, because he has a big history with Ipswich, and there was an auction. But it was also a preview of the talk sport coverage of the World Cup coming up. Obviously, a lot of talk sport, all the games on there. Anyway, Mark, what did you want to talk about then?
Well, it's more the United Kingdom stuff. Also the Makerfield thing as well. I mean, when Restore Britain sneak up from the back and just steal it from Reform, and they spit their toys out the pram. But anyway, that's just me. The Tommy Robinson thing. There's a few quotes I wanted to, just quite short quotes that I've read today on X, that I think kind of sum up this situation really. First one's from Peter McCormack, which was, every failing regime criminalises dissent, which is exactly what this seems like.
Dictator's playbook, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. On Starmer's rhetoric of, unifying the nation, and we're all about this one thing, and it's not our country, they don't represent this country, blah, blah, blah. Conor Tomlinson said, there's no original position of unity with people who are not invited, are not wanted, and who terraform our towns and cities into hostile foreign slums. That was his thing. And also...
what a softy he is.
Yeah. But, Starmer's saying all this today. In the last 24 hours, recorded on video, is one of these new imports saying Jews are going to be beheaded one by one.
Yeah. And of course, Jewish. I always remember Jewish tax money pays for his council house.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't let them die in Syria.
Why do you think he did it then? Why did Starmer do that? He knew it would cause cause more pressure in the kettle, wouldn't he?
I think that's the intention, really.
Is he trying to whip things up? It seems like he was whipping things up.
I think he's signalling to the progressive vote. I think I'm not convinced that he's going to go at all.
Yeah, a lot of people saying that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's at best it's 50-50, I would think. And yeah, I just think that he's kind of also signalling that if he stays, I think for the remainder of this Parliament, he will basically be just doing this. He'll be terrorising those on the right, I would expect.
That's the concern, isn't it, Asher? That there's going to be a legacy from Starmer of all of this legislation. The abolition of jury trial, all of this sort of stuff is going to become the legacy of Starmer is to subjugate his political opponent.
Well, I mean, we saw them trying to cancel the elections. All right, both sides wanted to, of the majority parties. So what's he going to do for the general election? Is he ratcheting it all up? So we've got to have martial law, we can't have elections. Are we going to be in a world war? They seem to be saying, we're going into a world war. Well, Germany is, making everyone conscript into the army, and they might have to do that here.
Nothing says good news like the Germans rearming.
Yeah.
Well, I can say on the United Kingdom thing, it's not for me. I see little point in that particular event itself. It's just a flag waving event, essentially organised by the state. Really, it's certainly not.
But I have some.
What do you mean organised?
I have some sympathy with it, and I'll tell you why. Because what Tommy Robinson said on David Starkey's channel, I can't remember whether it was earlier this week or last week. He said that his aim was to get everyone to register to vote, and there's going to be QR codes, and they're going to say it doesn't matter whichever way you vote, just make sure you vote. And he said, I don't care which way you vote, whether it's Reform, Restore, Advance, the Conservatives. And I thought, well, yeah, I suppose nobody's going to vote Lib Dem who goes that sort of thing. But actually, the reality is, what if you listen to what Cage said in the speech. Cage is the supporter of those people in Guantanamo Bay and whatever. What they said was, we don't need to be in a majority in this country because we can swing 6 seats in this particular area. Therefore, we can do a deal with Labour, the Conservatives, or the Liberal Democrats, and we can push our agenda forward on that basis. 6% of the UK population are Muslim, but in terms of sectarian councillors, 12%. 574 sectarian councillors were elected at the last election. And so the reality is, these people are able to amplify their position because they all vote. And as I made the joke yesterday, and I make no apologies for the joke, in Tower Hamlets they vote at least once. These people will vote time and time again, and then they'll all be registered, and they have a disproportionate result. 6% Muslim, 12% radical Islam, Muslim agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think where Starmer sits with all this, and people like Starmer, is, and it's shown in these bans that they put on certain people turning up to this event from, foreigners. I mean, 4 of those, the idea of Starmer's democracy is to stop 4 democratically elected politicians, basically, from Europe attending. That's his idea of democracy.
And American journalists.
Who is the journalist? Is it Ezra Levant?
I don't think it is, no. Off the top of my head,
because somebody because Tommy Robinson said that there was a phone call to a journalist saying you've been banned from the UK,
they
weren't even going.
They banned the Spanish MP who gave that rather barnstorming speech in their Parliament about look at what you're doing. These are the people that are coming.
A democratically elected MP.
I happen to agree that I'm not a big fan of this. The event, because the loss outweighs any benefit.
Yeah, but the big problem is with all of us lot. You've got to remember something. This is an event intended for working class people who do not have a voice. You are a middle class person who goes on TV for a living, right? I mean, it's this.
I understand.
You don't suffer, Pete, from a lack of a voice.
Well, I know that as much as some people might like, but I will. I don't get me wrong. I understand why it exists. I get the concept of it. My thing is, all it takes is one lot with an arm at a certain angle and a certain phrases. That is the headline.
No, but the way they're going to operate, and this has been publicly announced, there's going to be. It's not protesters. It's attendees of the rally. Security of the rally, police. In theory, assuming that Mr. Yaxley Lennon, because by the way, he's now saying that Tommy Robinson is a movement and not just him.
Yes.
But assuming Stephen Lennon gets what he wants, none of the people attending the rally will come into direct contact with the police, and that is for the protection of both sides.
But again, nice in theory. I just think one journalist gets one photo.
Exactly, but they're going to do that.
Yeah, they're going to do that. But this is the real danger, is that there is a movement here. There is a potential to actually change a lot of things.
Yeah, it's showing a lot of support, isn't it? Especially when they lie about it.
It can disappear quickly.
Here is the other thing. If you look at Sadiq Khan last year, he had to add in the counter-protest arrests to get the numbers up. I am sure that the Metropolitan Police will want to increase the number of arrests at the United Kingdom rally to make it look bad, because last year there was like 8.
Yes, yeah.
And even they were dubious.
Yeah. Well, look, we've got to take a little break, but let's get Pete's answer after this. Do you think the police are going to wind things up tomorrow? We'll get Pete's thoughts. It's Andre and Ash on Talk. Thanks, Mark. Back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. Pete Barnes is here. He is from Makerfield. I mean, it's
funny. We're going to get an answer off you that we'd held everyone with bated breath. Go and answer the question. Can you remember what it was?
Yeah, do I think that the police are going to... Yeah, do I think the police are going to...
oh, yeah, that was...
deliberately cause trouble. No. Because as many kind of journalists there are against this march, there's plenty of people there that have got cameras pointed back the other way. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people going who are kind of these kind of on the ground. They go to all the protests and stuff, and they film all this stuff.
And what about this news that Ezra Levant is suing Keir Starmer? Ezra Levant being Rebel Media.
I like him. He's
he has received an email from the Home Office saying that he's banned from the United Kingdom.
Not surprised.
I love how Shabana's found time to do that.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there's, like you said, I think there's 7, 8. I'm not sure how many there is now, but there's quite a few.
When they said,
all power to him, by the way.
There are a lot of British citizens who fought for ISIS, and they won't tell us how many.
I know. That's because they don't know how many. They don't know where they are.
They're all right, though.
Yeah, but no, I don't think they'll deliberately do it. But I do think
they're antagonising the situation.
I think Sarah's done more antagonising.
Forgive me, Pete, but there's a laughable question in. Sarah, there are no stupid questions apart from yours. Did Makerfield vote Leave or Remain?
Oh. Let's just say that place voted Brexit the day after we joined the European Union.
let's just say if they could have burnt John Jonker at the stake.
Was it a mining town or a cotton town?
It was a mining town.
Right,
it was very... Yeah,
so
it was
very
also
red, a red wall.
Yeah, it is the definition of a red wall seat.
Yeah. The Bickershaw Colliery, where famously one of the engineers was Pete Waterman.
Yes, also the Bickershaw Colliery is an interesting factor in this because somebody's dumped loads of like waste and loads of stuff there. It's like and it's going to cost the council £4.5 million.
Yeah, I saw that on the telly.
If Reform are smart, they can use it as a kind of, well, where's your council to care about it? Where's your mayor who's supposed to be looking after your area? What's he doing about it? These hyper-local issues are what people actually care about, because it's that kind of being neglected.
Community thing, yeah.
That neglected aspect is very big, and it's why the Labour Party are going to really struggle in all red wall seats. The North is not all the same. Yeah. So we have to be very careful. But you said something. But Andre, you said something very, very, very profound. Actually, it was a rarity. But
really,
the red wall has learned that a ballot is not a vote in favour of something; it's a weapon, and they're using it to punish. And if you're an incumbent, if you look over the last few years, you're getting punished. You know, and I think this is the big thing. The Labour Party haven't learned that, and I do think that that's why they're going to struggle.
I've got to say, I'm increasingly of the view that Andy Burnham having a go at this is not a bad thing. Although I think he'll lose.
I think it'd be very good for the Labour Party if he loses, because they'll actually realise, oh, right, we have a problem. You know, you can't deny this.
This is a safe. This has been a safe.
They've been in denial there.
See, like in Denton and Gould, they can blame other factors. This,
all right,
they can't blame anything
I'm
else.
really sorry, but Grace has been waiting for absolutely ages. Grace, I'm going to give you the floor for a couple of minutes because I know you've been waiting.
You think it shouldn't be happening this March?
I don't think it's a great idea. I think one of the things that sticks out to me, although I'll sound like a broken record, I apologise, is it's kind of trying to be Christian but slightly missing the point, because Christianity is not about territory or...
But it's not really Christianity, it's about uniting the kingdom, and he'll, you know, Tommy Robertson would say there'll be Sikhs there, there'll be Muslims, you know, he'll say there'll be it, and there will be it.
It's because I know that there are going to be people carrying crosses, and I've seen various slogans around it.
They'll be carrying every...
But what about... And I appreciate that you have... What David Starkey said about Tommy Robinson was, you are like a monk from 1200, bare feet in the streets, shouting about taking the crusade. The reality is the crusades were because Christians were being persecuted by the rise of Islam. And the reality is, whether you like Muslims coming into the country or not, it doesn't particularly bother me, but we are now creating Islamic tribal areas where Christians are not welcome, and Christians want to retake back their own communities. That muscular Christianity, I mean, if everyone does what you do, Grace, we just sing Kumbaya and get beheaded.
I think, as Danny Kruger said in his speech last year, the biggest threat to Christianity actually is probably secularism more than it is Islam. And I think that whilst I completely agree that it is despicable that anyone should feel that they're not able to enter a certain area because it's reserved for Muslims, obviously that's completely wrong if that's the case. But I think that I'm more concerned about people perhaps thinking, therefore, that Christianity is about kind of one side versus another side and winning and battle. And they could, in that process, then miss the point that Jesus said we each need to decide if we're going to repent and turn.
So is your argument then, Grace, which I think I can have some truck with, actually, the reason why the jihadis and the Islamists are taking over is because we don't stand up for our own culture. If we just practiced our religion and continued to do our thing, then actually there would be no takeover. We don't need to fight anybody.
Potentially. It's hard to kind of imagine that kind of situation. But I was thinking earlier when I saw Starmer's little clip about a line in a documentary called Speechless, which is on iPlayer, which I recommend. It's about all the kind of nonsense going on some university campuses, including the stuff with Kathleen.
30 seconds, Grace, 30 seconds.
And it was about how things have an opposite reaction. So I think
I've said this for years.
20 seconds.
If people try to be really vicious, then they're just going to make other people more vicious in return.
Yes. Thanks, Grace. Anyway, thanks, Pete Barnes. You're not staying with us, are you? He's got to go home. We've got Ellie Hodges, though, political commentator, coming on the show.
When you in Oral?
Not next week, the week after.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is a press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Ellie Hodges. And Ellie was amazed during the break when I said I was from Makerfield. You didn't believe that, did you?
I don't know why I didn't, no.
It's because nobody's from Makefield. No one's ever heard of it.
I never heard of it.
Today.
Yeah.
No, actually, to be fair, Pete Barnes is actually from... He is from Makefield, still from Makerfield, but the Makefield constituency, the boundary changed. Yeah. So when I was born, up until being 17, I was in Makefield.
Okay, so Peter's more Makefield than you are.
Yeah.
But you know, there isn't actually... We found out there isn't actually even a place...
No, there's no place called Makefield.
So, I mean, don't even ask. I don't even understand. Anyway, we're going through the papers. Let's start with The Sun.
Right, I just want to ask you a question, Asher.
Oh, pass the apple.
No. You
I'll ask Joe for an
right. So what you're allowed to do is you're allowed to get the assistant producer to get you anything you want. You ordered a latte, right, and an apple.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's power for you.
Right, just let me drop it. Drop it. Prove gravity. There you go. We've proved gravity.
Yeah, drop it at the side. Anyway, let's get The Sun. I became a coke addict doing Deal or No Deal.
I've got to be honest with you, you shouldn't take drugs, but if anything...
but listen to the story, it's terrible.
If anything was going to make you depressed enough to take drugs...
Was it hanging out with Noel Edmond? Does he talking about the guy? Anyway, this is what happened. A Deal or No Deal contestant got hooked on cocaine as he filmed for the ITV game show. Connor Cooper, 33, had never tried the drug before, totally innocent, but was completely wired on one show after partying until 7 a.m. The adrenaline of that opening the box and all that. After a month, because he stayed in the hotel for a month, he adopted the show business lifestyle, and he said he had a £600 a week habit, admitting, I got caught up in the showbiz life. Because that's what happens when you go in what's in the box.
The showbiz life.
Get you hooked on coke.
Do you know what the Monster Raven Looney Party said?
Don't do it.
The Monster Raven Looney Party said that they should get Stephen Mulhern to negotiate with the EU because he's an expert on Deal or No Deal.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I got... Sorry, so just to be clear, if you're on the Deal or No Deal, you have to stay there for a month.
Yeah, I think it's like a quarantined environment, you know, you've got to... And it was like a cult, wasn't it, when Noel Edmond did it? It was a bit like...
They used to call them the Pilgrims,
Yeah, but it's not like there's different rounds of it, isn't it just one show?
Yeah.
Isn't it? No, you come back and they all...
No, you have to stay.
They all know each other and it becomes a bit like, you know, Scientologists. And
No,
they
what
all
you
like,
do-
no, and they all get in a room and go and sort of do this thing in a circle. And Noel Edmond's in the middle and he draws sort of symbols on his hand. But are they still doing it now?
No, what you do
in Britain? Are they doing it?
Just to be
without
clear,
Noel Edmond?
Just to be clear, what you do on Deal or No
They are
Deal,
doing it.
what you do on Deal or No Deal is there's all those boxes, 20 boxes or whatever.
Yeah.
All those people come back day after day until they are the contestants. So all those people in the row,
They have to come in. Who's presenting it now? I can't hear.
Stephen Mulhern.
Stephen Mulhern, right? But
Which is why I made the joke earlier.
I don't. All right, I didn't realise that.
It's like the remedial class, isn't it?
I didn't know. Yeah. Anyway, the Independent, Trump says, so don't go, don't do drugs if you're trapped in the Deal or No Deal hotel.
Just don't get trapped there, my
Yes, just don't do it. Trump says it's tough for Starmer to survive as PM. US President renews his criticism of Keir Starmer's energy policies while the Prime Minister's crisis at home deepens. Burnham is cleared to stand in Makerfield by-election, paving the way for a leadership challenge. So, yeah, the US President has weighed in and says he's got to stop immigration and start drilling. What do you think, Ellie?
I mean, I'm just laughing at this photo here of Andy Burnham going for a run.
With his belly hanging out.
And it was like he was running right next to a motorway, and conveniently there was a whole Sky News camera crew there. And he was going, I was just going for a run.
No, I'm sorry, right. If we're going to admit where it is, it's Park Street in Goulburn, and the East Lancs is next to it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I'll tell you where it is.
It's not a normal run route, is it?
I'll tell you where Andy Burnham... No, I'm joking. And it's well known where Andy Burnham lives, obviously, but where he's running, if you come off the M6 at the Haydock turn-off, right, and then you go towards Manchester on the East Lancs, it's that street there next to the racecourse. which is officially Warrington.
What's that football top? I mean, he's got it half tucked in, half sticking out. You'd have thought he'd sort himself out.
Next to a motorway.
He's getting himself in shape to be the next leader.
He's not going to win, though, is he?
That shirt's too tight.
I love that he was running next to a motorway. That's East Lancs Road.
Yeah, I know.
That links Liverpool and Manchester, love.
They don't have motorways up north. It's not like down here, you know.
I think it was just really
straw
convenient
and
how
cobbles.
all the press were there, and then it's like, oh, I just went for a run and convenient.
Do you know what? I'm going to go tomorrow and have a look round because it's about 100 yards from my dad's house.
You might catch him on a run.
By the way,
I'm unlikely to
we're going to be going to our Eurovision Song Contest correspondent later on to get all the latest data on what's going on there. You know, big political event really these days, isn't it? The Daily Express Farage, we will give him a very nasty shock. Nigel Farage vowed to give Labour leadership contender Andy Burnham a very nasty shock by ending his hopes of returning to Parliament. The Reform UK leader yesterday pledged to throw everything we can at the Makefield by-election, which Mr Burnham must win in order to launch a coup against Starmer. Some senior Labour politicians have admitted Reform could pull off the stunning win in the North West constituency where Labour MP Josh Simons is standing down. I think this is really interesting, and I do think that Reform have a really high chance of winning this by-election. I think there was a poll that was saying if there was an election tomorrow, based on the local elections results, Reform would win by 48% and Labour would only get 28% of the vote there. Like and when you actually look at the makeup of that area as well, it's a predominantly white area as well, which will be a benefit for Reform. And it's also, during Brexit, I think they had quite a high amount of people vote for Leave there as well. And although it's kind of red wall-ish, I think that it's somewhere that could very easily, as we've seen in the local elections, go to Reform.
It's been a very safe Labour seat.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything anymore, because the reality is all of these people feel let down. They look at Bolton next door, where you know, Bolton now is very synonymous with Pakistani and Bangladeshi migration, particularly Pakistani. I think it went down incredibly badly when the town hall in Bolton began flying the Pakistani flag in preference to the British flag. I know it was only for one day, but it was something that went down incredibly badly. And look, I think Andy Burnham is brave to do this. It's not a shoo-in. My money's on Reform. But of course, I'll tell you the thing, Ellie, that I'm confused by. So, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be better if Burnham won the by-election, because then he'll stand down as Mayor of Greater Manchester and Reform will definitely win that. I'm sure they will. Then somebody said, yeah, but the problem is it will energise and unite the left, because people will go, here's the man who can beat Reform. So I'm like, I don't really know.
This isn't just a normal by-election either, because usually what would happen in this area is people that might have voted Labour in the general election would go, no, I want to punish the government and not vote for them. But this is different, because they think Andy Burnham will be leader, so that's a way of punishing the current government and Keir Starmer.
And it's presumptuous of him to just assume he's going to jump in there.
And it's a completely different dynamic. But what will be really interesting is what candidate Reform put forward, because we saw the Gorton and Denton by-election. They didn't really choose someone that was a local guy.
But they had their fingers burnt, so they'll put someone good in,
they put Matt Goodwin there, which might have not been the best decision. Whereas in this constituency, there's someone called Robert I've got his name. Yes, and he was a candidate at the last election. You know, he's what someone described him as being the Hannah Spencer of Reform for this area, as being the local guy and having a lot of experience in that area.
So he's the current councillor for Bryn and Ashton in Makerfield North. That paragon of. Robert Kenyon, to be absolutely, the only thing I can say to you about Robert Kenyon, I don't know the man, I've never met the man, but my dad was a key campaigner for Reform in that area at the local elections last week. He says Robert Kenyon is who the locals will vote for. I don't know whether that's right.
I think the best decision that Reform could make here is putting him in as the candidate, someone that is local, and not putting someone that might be what they would call a celebrity of the party.
I think that's right.
Because this, as I said before, this isn't just a random by-election. This is probably one of the most important by-elections.
I think the other thing is, you're not going to out-celebrity Andy Burnham round there anyway.
Exactly,
whoever you put in, it's just not going to be.
He's such a big celebrity.
And funny enough, I say this as somebody who's on the telly and from Makerfield. Look, I don't think if I was to run that would add anything to it, and I don't see how
showbiz dust.
Well, but you know, if running me is of no value, then I don't see what would be of value, because ultimately I'm a conservative right winger member of the Reform Party. Shouldn't say that on air. Who is from the constituency, and still nobody would care. So what?
And this is definitely just you know, a race between Labour and Reform. The Greens did awfully at the local elections there. So did the Tories. This is Labour.
Flash in the pan seems.
There's not an enormous amount of squeeze there actually. In terms of, well, look, okay, the Conservative vote will be squeezed. One would assume that will go to Reform. I mean, it's an assumption, but I think if the Conservative vote goes to Reform, then you'd be talking in terms of. If the Green vote goes to Reform, you'd be talking in terms of... if the Conservative vote goes to Reform, you'd be talking in terms of Reform being on 60% of the vote. That's quite hard to get. That's quite hard to reduce.
Yeah, and I think that it will just be a really interesting by-election because of the area it is in as well, and all of these different factors that come in. And I know I said before about quite a high number of people voted to leave. People that voted to leave are not going to want to vote for Andy Burnham, who is wanting to go back to Brussels straight away. Yep. So I think it'll be really interesting. But I also just find it weird how they have chose this constituency for Andy Burnham to.
Well, I think there's a little bit of history. The geography, which I'm boring people with, is this area, because it's all on the boundary between Liverpool and Manchester. And
he's wearing an Everton top, by the way. Everton top.
I think it is legitimate if you're from Culcheth and live in Goulburn to say that you're a local. So I think that's fair for Andy Burnham to say. Yeah. Reality is, Josh Simmons was going to lose at the next election. He has been allegedly paying private investigators to follow Times journalists and smear them, and to follow other Labour politicians and smear them. This is a man who was completely unelectable. And so I think actually him stand down, where it has been bizarre, is that this idea that everyone was saying that Andy Burnham was going to need a safe seat. He is not running for a safe seat. He is not guaranteed to win in Makefield.
No, he's definitely not. And I think it will just be such an interesting election. And I don't think people should underestimate Reform. I think there's a very high chance that they will win this.
Right, well, we're going through the papers with Ellie Hodges. I mean, he said that before, didn't he, Farage, in the European Parliament? You were laughing at us before, you're not laughing at something like that. A bit of a Bob Monkhouse one, that was. They said I'd be a comedian. They laughed at me when I said I'd be a comedian. Well, I am, and they're not laughing now. He said it better than that. That's why he was Bob Monkhouse. 0344 499 1000. Dawn French is on the front page of the Times, but don't let that put you off, because there's another story about Starmer. He's going to focus on defence. And also, I'm 62. Why shouldn't I wear a bikini? Depends, doesn't it? Maybe she's a 30 or he's a 32 stone airy man. I mean, it wouldn't look good, would it? But we'll find out more. It's Andre and Ash at Andre JP Walker at Virtual Ash at Ellie
Hodges 62.
Yeah, Ellie, that's when she was born, 1962. It's talk 0344 499 1000. Back in a jiffy.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Ellie Hodges. And Ellie, I have to say, somebody's just been in touch called Roger from Hounslow, who says, Andre and Ash. Actually, I think he's done Andrei, the Russian spelling. Andre, Ash. Guys, Ellie is fast becoming a brilliant host on talkTV. Just saying.
Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you.
So how is your career going? You're somebody who's decided not to go to university on the grounds that you believe university is a poisonous environment nowadays.
Yes. Yeah.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely think there is, and I think that for a lot of people, obviously it depends what you want to do. If you want to be a doctor, or if you need to go into a profession where you absolutely have to go into university, then that's fine. But I just think that, for me anyway, I've been able to build up a career by myself, by doing work experience and putting myself out there, and I think that's the best way to do it. And then you have a head start in front of everyone else as well. And also,
you're somebody who one would assume will be offered a good job in the Palace of Westminster if Reform win the next election. I'm not joking. Look, on a serious note, my ambition when I was your age was to work in the House of Commons, which is something I ended up doing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any shame in being ambitious.
Yeah, no.
Do you remember the Blair Babes? You won't remember, but in '97 he brought in all the.
No, but if you think, look, and I say this to anybody who's out there, a senior parliamentary assistant earns up to 50,000 a year. Junior parliamentary assistant earns up to 35,000.
Gravy train.
Yeah.
A PA, I don't think many Reform MPs will go for a PA, which is up to 50,000 a year. But if you end up as a senior parliamentary assistant to a Reform MP,
you can end up in the House of Lords when you're 32, like that woman did, that girl did. Do you remember?
I think that young people should be more ambitious as well, because I think it can get you really far if you put yourself out there and you just. I think a big part of it as well is being able to take rejection. Yeah, I know a lot of people.
But how many blokes have rejected you?
No comment.
Zero. For those listening on the radio, she looks like Holly Willoughby, only about 18. Right?
But on a serious note, though, I think that a lot of people, like young people, they've got so used to, especially at university, when you're kind of kept in this bubble where no one ever says
this
no
narcissistic.
To you. Yeah, and I think that you should be able to put yourself out there, and if you get rejected, that's fine. But
But how come it only affects some people and not other, like me and you of the youth? It doesn't affect
people
us.
Are different.
Why? Yeah, but why do some? Yeah, but you just have to be sensible, don't you, to not be like that? What's wrong with their weak minds?
Yeah, and that's why.
Yeah, but we now believe, and I know it's not something that we believe in this studio, but we now believe as a society in this concept of your truth, which is if you believe something passionately, it becomes true, which is garbage. It's my truth that the world is ending. Well, the world isn't ending.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Well, anytime soon. I've watched.
Well, we don't know, but we presume not. The Times, PM readies for battle by focusing on defence. Starmer to approve an extra 18 billion for MOD. Where are we going to get that from? Ministers want Burnham anointed as successor. Very presumptuous. Senior defence insiders said the investment would enable the armed forces to modernise and readiness for the next war. You see, they're getting us ready for war. Do you think they are getting ready? I mean, they're all going to get conscripted. You might get conscripted.
Yeah, but I don't think so. Yeah. But I think that with this on defence, this was something that we've been saying that we need for so long, and it's so important. And I think it's a bit pathetic.
Well, we were embarrassed, weren't we?
Starmer's now only doing this because of a leadership challenge.
Yeah,
this has been something that's long overdue.
Yeah, he's put us in great danger, and we couldn't even take part in the military exercises. We had to borrow a German ship.
By the way, this thing about anointing Andy Burnham to be next leader of the Labour Party, I'm very nervous about this because I had a friend of mine, Sir Jake Berry, who was Conservative Party chairman when Liz Truss disappeared, and he said he received all sorts of threats from the establishment, literal threats to put Rishi Sunak in. Look, Prime Minister is supposed to be, at least to an extent, a democratic decision, indirectly democratic, i.e. by members of Parliament. Are we going to do what happened last time, which is the Foreign Office, the Home Office, MI5, MI6, the Cabinet Secretary, and everyone's going to go, no election, Keir, we want Andy Burnham because of the bond market?
Yeah, I mean, the Parliamentary Labour Party at the moment is just in absolute chaos, and I think what I would say anyway is that a lot of people in that party have main character syndrome, and that they all think that they're amazing and they want to be the next leader, and what they're doing now is just plotting, and that's it. And I think that for a lot of ordinary people at home, they'll think, what, so they're just plotting, they're not actually running the country.
And also everyone's thinking...
They saw it with the Tories as well.
And they're thinking, you know, they're not even going to... They're going to lose in 2 years anyway, aren't they?
I mean, when was the last Prime Minister that actually served a full term?
The last Prime Minister who actually served a full term would have been Tony Blair.
Was it?
Well, Brown wasn't re-elected.
Which is ridiculous.
It's Tony Blair.
Which is ridiculous.
It's got to be Tony... No, David Cameron. David Cameron served a full term and then resigned partway through his second term. But let's be clear. Who are the recent Prime Ministers who did it? David Cameron, Tony Blair, then you have to go back to John Major, then you have to go back to Margaret Thatcher, 87. Margaret Thatcher, that's 4. And it's 4 since 1987, 4 in the past 40 years.
Which is crazy.
But we've had about 5 Prime Ministers in the last about 5 years, haven't we?
A lot of people are saying that Britain is now ungovernable. Do you think it is?
No, I don't. I think the problem.
This light's ungovernable.
The problem is the big problem is this. There's something my grandmother used to say: "Long run the fox, but eventually he's caught." The reality is these people have ignored the voters for 40 years. 40 years since Thatcher. In reality, they've been elected on one thing and done something completely different. If you look at, as an example, one thing that caused Brexit was when Tony Blair, Gordon Brown said, we will have a referendum if there is a constitution for Europe. And when the constitution for Europe was defeated across Europe, it was renamed the Lisbon Treaty. That's all it was, renamed the Lisbon Treaty, and they didn't give us a referendum. The reality is, what is happening in the United States of America is they are criticising Donald Trump because he's the first politician who stands up and says, I'm going to do this, and then bloody does it.
Yeah, and I think that in general, just the general public have no trust in the government at all.
And rightly so.
And that's not just saying this Labour Party government, it's more generally, and even today
in the
I was
democratic
out,
system.
Today I was out doing street interviews about digital ID and asking people, you know, would you trust the government with your information? Immediately, no. Of course you wouldn't.
And a few people have said, I did want digital ID a few years ago, but now that I see what's going on, I definitely don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
sinister.
just more forms of control, and I think it's really telling actually. Sometimes when we've done some of these street interviews, said, what do you think about digital ID? Initially they go, yeah, I think it's absolutely great. And then you go, do you trust the government with your information? Oh, no. And you're like, right, okay. And then it starts kind of processing.
Don't you tell them, look, shouldn't you think a bit more deeply before answering the question?
What makes me laugh more than anything else is when you sit there and they sort of say to young people, you know, do you want a socialist government? And they go, I believe this. Well, do you support the fact that you're going to be spied upon? Do you support all this sort of thing? And young people, I think, have been so beaten into the floor that they just don't all over the place.
I mean, when people say automatically tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich, have you ever actually thought about that and how that actually works in practice? What happens then when the rich leave? What happens when they bring all their businesses with them? What happens then when they bring all of their investments with them and all their assets? This is the problem. People don't actually think that
What
through.
about the Angela Rayner problem, which is you are the rich. The other person is you. I mean, as we were saying yesterday, we were saying, look, if you are a single mum and you've got a couple of kids, perhaps with disabilities, with these special educational needs rather than full-on disabilities, you get £4 a month. To earn that, you'd have to earn £7 a month. £7 a month is £84,000 a year. £84,000 a year puts you in the top 10%.
Plus you got your house. Plus you've got your housing rent. You're on over £100,000.
Yeah, call it over £100,000. You are now in the top 2%. We've got people who are in. Call it 5. We're in the top. We've got people in the top 5% biggest earners in this country who are on benefits.
Yeah, and it's always the middle people as well that always end up paying the price.
What is it that Jacob Rees-Mogg said? 6 million people would be better off on benefits.
Yeah, and
6 million people
that's when you know
go
the
to
system
work
isn't
every
working.
day.
That's when you know the system isn't working, because work should reward you. And when people realise, actually, if I just get a minimum wage job, what's the point when I can earn more just doing nothing, being on benefits? You can kind of understand why people do that.
Well, of course, it's a ridiculous system.
And it's a ridiculous system. And, you know, I know sometimes people attack the people.
It's like the migrant thing. If you put it there, they invite them to do it.
Yeah,
Of course,
exactly.
they'd be mad not to.
Sometimes people then attack the people that are on benefits, and I try not to do that because it's not their fault. They're just,
But it's the same with the migrants.
The
the migrants will be mad not to come here on the rubber boats.
Exactly.
It's the system that's
it's the same.
I remember something. If Ezra Levant had wanted to come to the United Kingdom rally, all he needed to do was convert to Islam and jump on a small boat. He would have been let in. They'd have paid for his hotel.
He wouldn't look right, though.
What's your view?
I reckon I'd spot that he was trying it on.
What's your view on the United Kingdom rally, by the way?
Are you going?
No, I'm not going.
Is that because you're not a big protest person?
You don't want to get kettled, do you?
I don't agree with a lot of the people that have been invited to speak. Even though some of the people that have been banned, I just don't agree with some of the things that they've said. However, that doesn't mean before everyone starts saying, oh, you don't want this to happen. I think that protests should happen, and I think that the core message of it is correct. However, I don't agree with some of the people that have been invited to speak, and I think that the government...
which ones do you mind saying?
The government banning... I think this guy called Massimo, I think, and he's an American.
I don't know who they've
invited. He's an American influencer, and something that he said, for example, was he would never believe a rape accusation, even if it was taken to court. You know, this kind of stuff.
Wow.
And there was someone else who... I
never liked what... I always remember there's only one thing that I thought was a really bad thing to say that I heard once in the British media, was when Katie Hopkins said, we need a final solution to the Islamic question.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you're quoting Adolf Eichmann.
Exactly.
I mean, let's be clear. And when Eichmann stood up at the Wannsee conference and said, we need a final solution to the Jewish question, he was talking about gassing them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think then you have to start asking questions.
Exactly. And there was someone else that was invited where she's not coming because she's been banned now, but then she was kind of putting racial slurs on Shabana Mahmood and saying all of this kind of stuff, and I just don't agree with that.
But remember, earlier today, after Friday prayers in mosques right up and down the country, there were people allowed to speak who are vehement racists, and the mosque will say, well, just because we platform these people doesn't mean we agree with them.
So I think that the country should be able to, the government should be able to decide who enters the country.
Yeah, I agree with that. We don't.
So I believe with Kemi Badenoch's point on that. However, there needs to be consistency, and there isn't at the moment because of these Muslim hate preachers that are being allowed in, and being allowed to host events where they're saying the most appalling stuff, appalling things that shouldn't be tolerated in this country. So I think it needs to be more consistent.
It's not that they're tolerated, they turn a blind eye. So I suppose they are, but they pretend they're not. You know, it's just cowardice, isn't it? Anyway, 03444991000, also in the Times. We're going to be taking loads of your calls in a bit. We've got Ellie Hodges here. Also in the Times, your 10-page guide to Chelsea, the Chelsea Flower Show. Are you going this year, Ellie?
Oh, I might go, actually.
Are you a Chelsea Flower Show fan?
I've never been.
No,
but I saw loads of videos from last year and it looked really good.
But it was believable the way she answered it, wasn't it? 03444991000, get your calls in. We'll call you back and leave WhatsApp messages on that. We've got loads of calls already lined up. It's Talk. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and this is the paper review with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Ellie Hodges. And you know, I just had to take a photo because my eyesight isn't what it used to be. Oh, yeah. But look at this on the front page of Telegraph, Asher. Yeah. Some civil servants are drawing as much as 150,000 a year in pensions.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Well, not unbelievable, but disgrace.
It's just crazy the way that we're having to put up all of our taxes to pay for all these public sector pensions. I remember when I worked in local government, every single retiring director that we had before the Conservatives came in got a 20 grand pay rise 1 month before they retired, and because they retire on 2/3 of their final salary, that means that they got an extra 13 grand a year every year until they died. Because they got that 20 grand pay rise 1 month.
And some of them, like it happens in some NHS trusts, they retire and then the next day after they get their pension and it's guaranteed, they get another job.
Exactly.
I mean, this is the pigs at the trough thing. It's the public servants now that are the rich, and the people making the money to pay for it are dwindling and leaving.
The public sector bonanza is what I call it. I mean, the aristocracy in this country now are people like NHS trust managers and people like that.
And Angela Rayner, you can't even string a sentence together.
Chief executives of councils are phenomenally rich.
They're the new nobles.
Can you imagine earning 400,000 a year and living in Newport? I mean, nothing wrong with Newport, by the way.
Well, there probably is, but I mean, 400 grand will get you a lot down there, won't it?
Well, I mean, you would live like a king.
Yeah, and that's what they do. They do.
I mean, if you look at Stephen Nolan. Now,
I'd rather not.
I don't have a major problem with Stephen Nolan earning this alleged 750 grand a year because he's the most famous presenter in his country. Which I think, you know, his country's Northern Ireland, it's a small country, but he had to build his own home because there was nowhere in Northern Ireland valuable enough.
Or big enough for him to get through the door.
Well, let's not do that.
Let's not be personal. Right,
I quite like him, actually.
I like him. He's a very charming man.
Well, he's not charming.
But he seems on the radio, that's the he comes across as.
I think he's a good person. I don't think he's particularly charming.
But he's on air, isn't he?
Yeah. He's quite a quiet bloke, actually.
Is he?
Yeah.
It's always the quiet ones. Burnham will push to be PM by autumn. Right, well, we know that. Why A&E doctors love the pit. I don't know what that is. 4 ways with rice. Well, you can have rice pudding, Rice Krispies, rice and peas, egg fried rice. I've saved you a lot of time there. Mandelson vetting files withheld by ministers. This is interesting.
By the way, can I comment on rice?
Yeah, have you got another 5 ways better than The Guardian? What's your other?
I don't understand why anyone eats white rice. Brown rice is so much nicer.
No.
Shall I tell you something?
Brown rice is like the healthier option.
Yeah, but you know they say that to fool us. Around the world, the actual countries that they eat, where they eat rice all the time, it's white rice. Oh. Don't worry about it. I know, but they laugh at us. They go, look at those Western fools where they're thinking the brown rice, where they get rid of all their crappy brown rice to us and they're leaving their delicious.
No, but they've all got diabetes, right?
Yeah, that's one of the side issues.
I prefer brown rice. The only mistake I made.
It's too crunchy.
You know how you have to soak white rice overnight? Yeah. I soaked it.
What? Overnight?
Soak it for a period of time. I like to soak it overnight.
You have to wash it, don't you?
And you have to wash it multiple times. Yeah. But anyway, I left some brown rice in water and actually ruined it. All the husks.
No, it's just brown rice is just horrible.
Why?
It's so horrible. To be fair, I just have pasta. I don't really have rice.
Yeah, but rice, I quite like, and I just use those packets that you do a minute in the microwave and you've got your rice.
I shared a flat with the guy.
And it's fine. People mock the microwave. They look down. They shun it.
I shared a house with a very, very intelligent lawyer who had a dish that we used to call filth. And I'll tell you what filth was.
God.
Filth. I mean, this is bad.
A bowl of filth.
Right. So what would happen is there was 3 of us in the flat.
Yeah.
One of them you will know. I'll tell you afterwards. And the other one, the one who cooked filth, is now lawyer to some of the most powerful people in the world. I'm not joking. So my mate would text me and go, "Andy's cooking filth. Shut your door." And we had to shut the door to the rooms. Here is what filth was. He used to buy pasta. And he used to boil it until it was slightly crunchy.
Oh,
right.
Al dente. What do you mean?
No, not al dente. Slightly crunchy.
What does that mean?
So I said to him, you don't overboil your pasta. You always make sure it's. And he went, yeah, slightly crunchy. Right. See, now it's slightly crunchy.
That's actually disgusting.
Right. The next thing he'd do.
It's not good for your guts.
I'll tell you. Talking of guts, wait for the next bit. He'd get some oil in the pan. He'd get 4 or 5 Scotch bonnet chilies, right, and fry them. And it used to hit you in the eyes first. Then he used to get, a can of stag chili. Do you know that old stag chili? Chili con carne.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's
The
in
make
a can.
stag, yeah.
In a can.
The make.
Put that in. And half a bottle of Worcester sauce, and he used to dump it on top. Right, can I tell you something?
When he enjoyed that?
No, I'll tell you what used to happen. When the odour of filth came up the stairs, it used to get you in the nose and the back of the throat. You had to open the window. And then he broke the dishwasher because filth destroyed it.
Clogged it up, yeah.
And then he invented something called Filth 2. Right. Filth 2 was that he'd make a mound of rice. He was a big boy, big mound of rice. It was about 2 inches deep at its zenith, if you like. Big mound of rice on the plate. He did cook the rice properly, right. But then what he did was he got, same principle, 4 or 5 Scotch bonnet chilies, but now he got a can of beans with small sausages in. Threw it in,
disgusting. No,
and then he put half a bottle of Worcester sauce in, and that was what was called Filth 2. And
Did he enjoy it?
He used to sit there going,
what weirdo.
He loved it.
That's very weird.
He loved it. Loved filth. Loved filth.
This isn't the person that I know, is it?
No. The other flatmate was Matthew Richardson, who is Nigel Farage's lawyer.
Yeah.
That was the other person in the flat, former National Secretary of UKIP, whose brother...
Do your generation know about colonic irrigation?
Yeah. Colonic irrigation.
We used to get on the show years ago. There was a colonic irrigator just down the road. And,
it's bum douching.
Yeah, it's a bum tube, hot water, and he used to get it done at the change of the seasons. And he said that sometimes the pasta shapes would come out in exactly the same, like farfalle would come out, like little bow. They come out.
Stop. This is.
I'm just saying. This is. I've got a story. We're talking about carbohydrates.
I've got a story. My mate told me related to sweet corn. But I'm not gonna tell you.
It's not as sweet. It's not as sweet.
His girlfriend was a vegetarian. Anyway,
so that is the 4 ways to eat rice.
So would you ever like to eat filth?
No, that sounds like the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life.
Sometimes after he admitted that sometimes after he'd finished making filth, he'd try one mouthful, and it was so hot he had to throw it immediately away.
But the thing is, you pay the next day with the burning ring of fire, don't you? That's the thing.
Horrendous.
Anyway, this is the big story. Mandelson vetting files withheld by ministers. A powerful parliamentary committee tasked with reviewing files related to Mandelson's appointment as US ambassador has revealed that the government is withholding his vetting file despite not having the authority to do so.
I agree with this.
In an extraordinary intervention, the Intelligence and Security Committee, the ISC, has criticised the government over its handling of the release. They weren't allowed to do what they did.
I agree with this, and I'll tell you why. I wouldn't have agreed with it until I saw Ollie Robbins' contribution to the Select Committee when he said, when we do this vetting of people, we go into quite intimate details about them, who they've slept with, any alcohol or drug use, medical problems in the past, all of this sort of thing, and that relies on the strictest confidence. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm fine. I'm fine with turning round and saying there was political pressure to pass Mandelson, but what I don't think is the details of Mandelson's file coming out.
The whole vetting system in Parliament is just ridiculous. Like, I have friends who are trying to get a press pass Parliament through whatever media thing they're with, and they have to go through the exact same vetting that Mandelson went through to get a press pass, which is just ridiculous.
They don't.
Well, they do.
They don't.
They do.
Yeah, well, there's only one way to sort this. They're going to have a fight.
They don't. That's
get a pass that's everywhere in Parliament.
No, that's basic vetting, and then you have to go for developed for vetting, which is what Mandelson had. But you still have to put down your mum and dad's details, your own details, list any criminal convictions. You also have to to get your thing in Parliament.
That's a long list for you, isn't it?
And then with me it was terrible because my mother's from Northern Ireland.
Got a list as long as your arm.
My mother's from Northern Ireland, therefore it took ages for my pass to be approved. 12 weeks.
Yeah, and like I just know some people that are trying to get a pass. It's just taking them so long to get it because of the vetting.
Can you help her out? Can't you,
no, actually. Can I tell you what happens there? I'll let you into a little secret.
Yeah.
The chairman of the press lobby and the chairman of the press gallery do not want new media in the press gallery, so they instruct the sergeant at arms to ensure the vetting is as invasive as possible and as slow as possible in order to maintain the cartel. That is what happens.
Anyway, 0344. We got a little break, haven't we, at this juncture? 0344 499 1000. We're going through the papers, but after the news, we'll be taking all your calls. And Ellie Hodges is with us, political commentator, talking about all these stories. And we've still got.
By the way, just before, there's a guy called Andy who's just texted in. I don't know if you're Andy, the viewer from my show, but please do give us.
Is that our viewer?
Give us a call. Right. Give us a call, 0344 499 1000, if you want to give us some opinions on what you think in the Makerfield by-election. There are people watching this show now who know the area. You don't have to actually be from Makerfield, but 0344 499 1000, give us a call, and we will talk about the by-election, because I think it's going to be fascinating.
Back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and this is the press preview, but before we go any further, we only have a limited amount of time with Ellie Hodges. And Ellie, look, you and I have had conversations before about the issue of university student branches for reform or debating societies, or indeed other political organisations being shut down by left-wing bullies. Do we know where we're up to with any of that, or is it just still where it was, i.e. some branches being threatened and very few being able to move forward?
I think that they have been getting, for reform anyway, they've been getting more support from higher up now.
And they've got
some established societies across different universities. And hopefully that continues. There's also been some Restore ones set up as well that I've seen of societies, which is very, very interesting. So yeah, I think that there's still probably, but from what I know anyway, from people that I know that are part of these societies, they're still getting the harassment.
Oh, they will do. Yeah.
I think the concern is I don't mind. Look, if you look at the Restore people, they're going to be quite robust. I do think the ordinary 18-year-old being able to go to Freshers' Fair and go, oh, I'm quite interested in... Because remember, university student branches, political parties, are not actually intended to be divisions of political parties.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be people who are interested in getting together to talk about that political party because they're just interested in it. So people go, oh, I quite like Nigel Farage, I'd like to join this. If you do, you get your head stoved in.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't really to do with universities, but I'm sure you saw the video of Angela Rayner talking to those school children about Nigel Farage, and one of them said, oh yeah, I kind of like Nigel Farage, he's better than Keir Starmer. And Angela Rayner's going, what?
Well, you better do
they
one.
Want to privatise the NHS. My son wouldn't have survived if they were in power when he was
didn't the NHS muck up his treatment? Actually, let's not get into Mrs Rayner's child, but
that's just pure indoctrination as well, because Reform have said that they do not want to privatise the NHS.
Well, can I tell you this? I remember
it's like Project Fear.
When I was a little boy, the first election I was aware of was the 1987 general election.
Yeah.
Now, I was pretty young. I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
But I had some understanding. And the only thing that I knew from my dad, who was a member of the Labour Party, was that if Margaret Thatcher was re-elected, the NHS would be abolished. And it struck me that the Labour Party had set up the NHS and it was wrong for the Conservatives to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I knew about the election. Let me tell you, the Labour Party, whether you like it or not, whether true or untrue, the Labour Party has said at every single election in my lifetime, well, I don't remember 83 because I was 4, but every election in my lifetime they have said, if you do not vote for us, the NHS will be abolished or privatised. And you think to yourself, well, what was that, 87? 92, 97, 2001, 2005, 2010, 2015, 2017, 2019, 2024. There's 10 elections.
Yeah, but the problem with it as well is it does actually stick with people.
If you lie enough, it becomes true. Yeah.
Exactly, and you see all of the Labour Party leaflets saying you'll have to pay this much for a hip replacement, you'll have to pay this under a Reform government. And I was on the train the other day and someone was on the phone, or just to someone that they knew, and they were being really annoying and talking really loudly on the train.
Yeah, that's me.
But they were saying, oh yeah, I really like Reform's policies and I'd probably vote for them, but I can't afford to pay for the NHS. So it has stuck with people, and I know people that aren't really that into politics.
It's a bit like the Trump derangement syndrome, isn't it? Oh, if once he gets in, like Robert De Niro, he's never going to leave, you know. And people,
I do think
people believe
need to make it clear what their stance on the NHS. I know that Nigel Farage.
Do you know if I was a politician, what I'd do? I'd go, let's clarify this really simply. The NHS is a dump run for the purpose and benefit of the members of staff and the trade unions. But I know the British people don't want to change it. So if I get in, I'll continue to leave it as a dump.
Well,
I don't think that would get votes.
No, I don't think
it would. Vote winner, I think.
But why not just say that? Why not just say, look, the reality is when Andy Burnham was docked to death, when he was Secretary of State for Health and he allowed the offing of the elderly in unprecedented numbers, it was because he didn't want to offend the trade unions. So Granny got murdered, effectively, because, we don't want to upset the trade unions. And then do you remember that guy in St George's Hospital, Tooting, who phoned up the police to say they're not giving me water, I'm dying. The police arrived, they turned the police away, and then he died of thirst. What did people say? Don't criticise it, don't undermine confidence in the NHS.
Yeah, and I think that's why what Nigel Farage says is the right thing to say, that is, we will always have the NHS free at the point of use. However, what's happening at the moment is clearly not working.
Oh, it's awful.
And
it's the World Health Service.
And the answer isn't to just keep putting money into the NHS. That isn't working.
It never works.
It needs to change.
We can just look at other countries where their systems work and we're paying the same, like in France, which works. You know, our system doesn't work, and which is, you know, they go, the world are jealous. Only Cuba copies it, so that answers
it's probably the only last vestige of the Soviet Union that still exists. It's the only last government department probably in the Western world that is run in the Soviet style.
I mean, Ash, your point about it being kind of the World Health Service, this is really interesting. So on Euston Road, there's loads and loads of tents. It's like a massive encampment.
in the middle of the road.
Yeah, and they're all there. I mean, I walked past there the other day, and they had like a barbecue going, and they're all speaking in a different language.
It's in a narrow bit next to an underpass.
And I can't say 100%, but from what I've heard when I spoke to people that go to the university that's next door to there, they aren't people that they're probably not here legally.
No,
they are probably here illegally. And from what I hear as well, they put that there deliberately because there's a hospital opposite.
Oh yeah, is it Guy's? There's a big hospital. Guy's is there, yeah.
Yeah, and they're just going back and forth. And I actually spoke to a doctor.
It's UCL. It's UCL University Hospital.
Yeah, so I spoke to a doctor
Isn't
that works
Guy's the
there.
UCL hospital?
No, Guy's is here.
I spoke to a doctor that works there, and he said that they're just coming back and forth from that encampment every single day. So. I mean, that's...
For what?
Just using different services, saying this is what's happened to me, blah, 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 and they get it.
Yeah.
So again, it's the same thing though. As I don't even blame them for doing it because it's the system's fault that that's allowed to happen.
Why wouldn't they do it?
Yeah, exactly.
They'd be crazy not to.
Exactly.
Star in the Daily Mail. The night I was drugged by the black cab racist by Carrie Johnson, Boris Johnson's wife. And I remember hearing something about
this. This was John Warboys.
Yeah, John Warboys, the black cab rapist who was going to be released, and then there was a big outcry, and he was put back in. And I think I remember hearing something about this, and she got drugged, but nothing happened. But anyway, you can read all about it in the Daily Mail, and you can win a camper van worth 64 grand.
What's this about the Duke of Wellington? But he will begin.
Starmer faces his Waterloo. No one would mistake, but it's happening on the anniversary of the Battle of Waterloo. Keir Starmer is facing his Waterloo after Burnham was given the green light to fight a by-election on the anniversary of the famous battle.
It's just because last week the Duke of Wellington got a life peerage. Did you see it?
No.
So
he's been dead hundreds of years.
They abolished the hereditary peerage and gave a load of hereditary peers life peerages. They included Patrick Courtown, who literally everybody used to drink with in Parliament, the Duke of Wellington, and I think Lord Attlee.
It's basically all their mates, wasn't it?
I mean, at least this by-election is June 18th. That's not actually too far away.
No.
But it's Royal Ascot week, so that kills me.
It's a month, yeah, so...
it's polling days the day I'm going to Royal Ascot.
Oh, no.
No, that's not good.
Oh, no.
What are you going to do, man? You have to
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get a helicopter from Barton to Royal Ascot.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you do
it. That's how you do it. Doing all right these days. Doing all right these days. Get a helicopter to Ascot.
The Daily Telegraph.
Can you imagine? Anybody who needs a lift. I could get a helicopter from Haydock to Ascot.
Oh my God.
Starmer could step aside.
It's a good way to waste £5,000, isn't it?
Is that how much it is? Not bad.
It'd be more than that, I reckon.
Starmer could step aside for Burnham Rayner to give way to, but Streeting would run if Manchester Mayor wins a by-election. So Keir Starmer could consider standing down as Prime Minister if Andy Burnham wins the Makersfield by-election. That's what insiders believe. So, that's it.
Yeah, he'd have to step aside, wouldn't he? If Andy Burnham wins Makerfield, Starmer is finished.
Yeah, 100%.
Because essentially the argument is Andy Burnham's King of the North. He's not that great, but he's King of the North. And if he is the man who can overtake Reform, despite the fact Reform are polling on 50% and Labour are polling on 27%, he can legitimately say, I'm the only man who can beat Farage, and that's it.
And he'll get the 81 letters or however many it needs. You know, the other guy that they couldn't get. 1 in 8 newborn boys are to live to 100.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I thought our lifespans are getting less because we just sit on our couches eating fried chicken. So, anyway, and as
I thought you were going to say 1 in 8 boys born today are called Mohammed, which would have been a believable statistic.
Well, it's more than that, isn't it? The £150,000 a year civil service pensions, as you were mentioning, civil servants are drawing 150 grand a year pensions for the first time, the Telegraph can reveal. So that's like About 12 grand a month. Not bad, wasn't it, for your retirement? Jeez. So what, about 3 grand a week? You could have a nice life then, couldn't you? Trump, only I know if I defend Taiwan, and even he doesn't know what he thinks. You know, that's the beauty of Trump. No one, even himself, doesn't know.
No, that's right. You can't negotiate with him because you never know.
Reeves backs pubs campaign after staging 13 billion tax grab. The gall of Rachel Reeves, Richard III. Reeves encouraged people to go to their local this weekend as she backed the Telegraph's National Pub Day, but they're not allowed to talk to each other or smoke in the garden because the Starmer police will be there to take you away. Who are Daily Star news with a wink? Dosh,
with a what?
A wink. I said wink. Dosh and Beck's first UK billionaire sportsman David, and not bad for a mediocre football superstar. I mean, he wasn't one of the best. He wasn't a Ronaldo or a Messi or even a, but
he had her, didn't he?
But
she made him.
Tattoos. She sort of made, I suppose, and he's now the first billionaire. And
it's he and Victoria's wealth together, I think.
Yeah, well, I think my view on him is, I mean, she was brilliant at marketing him.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I think her biggest achievement.
They did that documentary together.
Yes, I mean, look, pretty major achievement to have been in the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
Pretty major achievement to have done all the things that she's done in modelling. But her biggest achievement by far is marketing him. And also, they're massive right wingers.
They do say,
are you aware of that?
It's a strong woman.
Actually, are they?
You wear the sound. Oh yeah, they are.
I didn't know.
Yeah, they are. I remember Alex Ferguson. I remember Tony Blair saying to Alex Ferguson, "Can you get the Beckhams to come to a Labour do?" And he went, "No, because they're massive right wingers."
Which is interesting, isn't it, when you think about Gary Neville, because they were old mates they grew up in the same youth system, and then Neville's a big lefty, wants to stand for Manchester Mayor.
Yeah,
to replace Burnham.
But Beckham is from Chingford.
Yeah.
There's not many.
Leytonstone. He's from Leytonstone.
There's not many left wingers.
Same as Alfred Hitchcock.
Anyway,
you got a minute. You're going home, aren't you?
I'm going home.
Okay, well, your final thoughts. You've got 35 seconds for Ellie's final thoughts. Away you go.
Like Makerfield.
Like Jerry
when are you going to be in Makerfield?
I will go there, actually. I think, yeah.
Really? I'll buy you a beer at the Wetherspoons.
Why don't you just pretend you could have a backdrop of cobbles and thatched houses with a bit of, you don't need to... Like Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing. You just got to get a man with a flat cap behind you.
I'll probably go there and do some street interviews and see how people are feeling there.
They'll talk to you.
That'd be interesting.
They're not going to talk to your average journalist. I'll talk to that one. She fit that one. Go Rita.
Anyway, it's going to all be about your calls after the latest news. Thanks to Ellie Dare. Andre Nash on Talk. 0344 499 1000. Call now or leave us a message. We'll be back after the latest.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the real X-Files with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, Matt Thornton and Joe Stock.
From the mystery department of Talk.
We have actually rebranded now. We're no longer called Real X-Files. We're Midnight Mysteries.
I thought we were the UF Bros.
Yeah.
Well, they always argue. They never have the same, but which is interesting. You get two UFO mysteries.
What makes me laugh about these two, they don't even coordinate, do they? One of them goes, this has happened, the other goes, no, that isn't.
We're both wearing suits.
It keeps it real, yeah.
I don't know if these count as suits. But
Well, you've got more linen, haven't you?
That's right, yeah.
Nice linen.
As it gets warmer.
So what have you got for us this week from your mystery?
Well, actually, it happened last week, but I wasn't here, so we're catching up.
Oh, God.
But it's given us some time to, comb through the files that have been released. As you know, the
UFO files that Americans released.
They released as the first wave of 161 files, and they were a load of old crap.
A lot of people saying, well, we knew all this, but apparently they've slipped some little nuggets underneath some of the things.
There are definitely certain files.
Just a little buzz. Can you hear a little buzz? Little buzz. Anyway, carry on.
Might be an alien trying to communicate
it is like the government getting involved. So tell us what you've found of any use.
There's certainly, the videos that were released in those files were not the videos we were hoping for. Currently, there's I think 46 files that the Pentagon is sitting on, and some congressmen are trying to get them to release those, and they're hoping the next drop, the next batch of files that come out within a month. I think
soon, isn't it? Yeah.
They will be including that, and this is like HD stuff, what they claim anyway.
What do you mean, high definition?
Well, yeah, these videos and photos of these 46 will supposedly shock people.
Well, apparently they've got actual alien bodies, have they, or something?
But that was none of that information, none of the stuff that we've been hearing over the last sort of 10
We're seeing
years.
some on the, if you're watching, we're seeing some of the military footage.
Do we have that sort of angelic...
What is this strange
we've got a strange alien noise coming on the...
It might be the mic.
Oh, that's better. So what you were moving by something, your hand, when it...
He's an android.
Yeah, when you were moving something there, it's your hair, man. It's like attracting there.
I'm not moving, I'm still.
But yeah, no, so the...
it's Matt's mic.
So the files that came out, they were...
Seize Matt! Oh, yeah, carry on, sorry, Joe.
The videos were much as what we'd seen before, very grainy, a lot of military footage from thermal cameras and as such. So that was very disappointing, considering how much this file drop had been hyped up. All the things we've been hearing over the last 10 years, these... these stories, and the stories about alien bodies and the
and it's different types of aliens.
That's another thing that's been coming out recently. Is like there's definitely more than one type.
We're seeing on screen now. This looks like sort of wow! Look at that, just flying.
Yeah, well, that's a really good one. That's a really famous video because that's a missile and it bounces off the UFO, and the UFO just keeps moving. It's not affected by that projectile.
It slightly moves a bit.
So just to clarify this in my mind, and I do appreciate the help you give us on this, Joe. So the first load of files were boring. Do we take from that these were the best files and they're boring, or actually they're softening us up with the worst files first? So basically my question is the fact these files were damp squib proof that the whole thing's a damp squib, or proof that the whole thing's going to be marvellous?
Well, that's there's two ways you can go with that. Yeah, on the one hand, it could be this is all we've got, it's all a load of rubbish. Or it could be part of something that I've figured was going on for a long time now, at least 10 years, that this is a very soft disclosure. We're slowly being drip-fed information about this phenomenon.
And you've argued that for a while, to be fair.
Yeah, that's
to soften us up.
The only reason I sort of deviated on this, and I thought something was suddenly going to happen, is because we were hearing all these things about Trump speeches, and then Trump announced this thing about releasing all the files. But now he's quite, unfortunately, seems to have washed his hands of all of it. He put up a post after this first drop of files and essentially just said, well, the truth's out here now, you make your own minds up, which is not what people are saying.
They've done the website, alien.gov.
They sort of incorporated that into their war website, but yes.
Is it because he's a bit bored of it? Because ultimately, what we've always said to ourselves is this. So I've always been a massive sceptic of all this. I'm less so now. I'll tell you why I'm not a sceptic now. Because we are seeing a phenomenon of some description that we can't explain, right? So now I'm not saying what it is, but the reality is there's no smoking gun in the sense that he's not able to say this is happening. What he's actually saying is, I'm now going to disclose this evidence, which is highly inconclusive, and there's no announcement for me to make.
No. So the law around this sort of situation is that a UFO program was set up in the early 2000s called ATIP, and they were investigating these sightings, and this was a Pentagon operation. But what occurred, what became quite apparent to the people working in this organisation was that there was another department, secretive department, that that had all of the files and the information, and this new one couldn't interact with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so, it absolutely does. It does make sense.
There was like a legacy program that was very, very quietly hidden, and the people that were investigating on ATIP weren't allowed to have any access to them.
Yeah, and Donald Trump has attempted for a long time to try and be a breath of fresh air into all of this. But just let me ask you this once again: what has driven this? Is it Donald Trump's election, or is it the stuff that all these aircraft carriers were seeing?
Yeah, no, I think this isn't anything to do with Trump, really.
Is it because everyone's got phones now and there's a lot more stuff coming out on video?
Yeah, it could be, but also it could be like a change of perspective around the issue now as time's gone on, or it could well be that
because I've always said,
Matt's very quiet.
If what we're filming here, or what we're seeing here, is a vehicle, what appears to be a vehicle that appears to outperform not just our own military technology, but the capability that we understand is possible, then that is a major problem.
Yes. And so the people that were part of this ATIP investigation program for the Pentagon, when they realized that there was another organization, what they call the Legacy Program, when they realized the existence of this and found out they weren't going to be given access to anything, they all resigned en masse and started going to the media. That's what started this storm about 10 years ago with an article in the New York Times, because they'd all gone on record finally. So the way they think it works is that there's a department in the CIA that is so old and so sort of forgotten about that the director of the CIA probably won't even know what it is.
Yes,
because it's like need to know, and he would never think to say.
Yeah, and also it's important to understand that Rebecca Brooks, the chief executive of News UK, doesn't know what every single team in this building is doing.
Well, it may be the president doesn't
she knew
even
about this segment.
Even the president doesn't.
No.
I was going to say
the president doesn't need to know. I mean, you know, Obama said, "Yeah, there's aliens," but you don't
sit down, it seems to me, with a new president and go, right, let's spend the next 3 months, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, explaining to you every single thing that every single embassy, every single department, every single piece of science.
Yeah.
They don't go and go, we've invented these sunglasses that have got X microphone in them. They don't explain everything, because it's a waste of time.
What Marco Rubio said about this, because he's quite prominent in this whole thing, he was saying essentially that you know, a lot of the attitude of these civil servants that work in these departments, they see a president or a director of the organisation, and it's like, well, in 5 years you'll be gone, but I'll still be here, and I've been here for 20 years. Then it's like they don't want to risk secrets and national security with people that come and go.
But also, if I was the president or the prime minister or indeed the king in the UK, I mean, I would turn around and say, look, I don't want to know the granular details of everything. The reason is because if I go into a negotiation with Vladimir Putin and I know the granular details of everything, there is a risk that I will say something that compromises national security, and if you tell me something I don't need to know, then all we're doing is creating risk for nothing.
There's a story about Jimmy Carter being told,
that's right, Jimmy Carter,
and that he supposedly began crying when he heard what was actually going on.
He was a bit of a weirdo,
I suppose.
Yeah, but he was a peanut farmer who took. He was a peanut farmer who took who took an interpreter to communist Poland who couldn't speak Polish, and he stood up and he said on the tarmac, "I'm delighted to have come here from America," and it was translated into, "I've abandoned the United States of America, never to return." and the communist Poland thought Jimmy Carter had defected with Air Force One, and they were on the phone to the Kremlin going, "What do we do with a defected American president?" Right, that man was without question what can be best described as an effing liability.
He was trying his hardest.
He did a run for charity and collapsed halfway through.
Matt's been quiet as usual, but this time he's got a reason, so we'll take a little early break and try and get his mic sorted. But before that, we've got another your admirers back again. Where's he gone? Oh, can you just put it down a bit? Yeah, this is from Chris Trenery, and he says, and I'll do his voice, what I think he sounds like. Joe Stark is so fit and sexy. He looks just like Ryan Gosling.
So I thought Chris was a woman.
That's what we were hoping.
No. Chris is like that. Chris like that. Oh, I love that Joe Stock. Oh, he's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Like Lily Savage.
Yeah, Lily Savage. Lily Savage. Anyway, it's talk. We're going to get the mic sorted, and he'll probably disagree with everything Matt does as usual with Joe. It's Mystery Department. Talk's Mystery Department. We're talking about the UFO releases from the Americans, and we'll be back with all the mystery after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, OK, you can call us 03444991000 if you want to talk to us about anything. Matt, you want to respond to all of these damp squib releases from the Trump administration?
Well, there was that one video of what people thought was the parachute. Did you see it, Ash? You might know the one I'm talking about.
No.
It's sort
what
of
you talking about, Willis? What parachute?
So, one of the videos that was released in this dump.
I think they might have just shown it.
They might have just shown it.
Yeah.
It was sort of a flare up on the camera or something, but it was shaped
a triangle.
It looks kind of like a star shape.
Like a wheel.
Yeah,
like
I did see that.
star.
Yeah, I saw that. A cartwheel.
But they were saying, so there were all sorts of people trying to debunk it online.
Yeah.
They were saying, oh, it was a parachute and there was a flare.
Like a pretzel sort of thing. Or something.
Yeah, it was sort of like a pretzel.
A giant pretzel.
Some people were saying it looked like a biblically accurate angel or something like that.
Yeah, well, it could have been.
But apparently it was debunked and they think it's real again.
Yeah, so there was this strange thing like in the background of the shot that looked like a parachute.
Yeah.
So the skeptics said,
could it not have been a parachute?
Well, so the skeptics said that's what this was, and this was like a flare attached to a parachute and everything. But then actually, if you properly look at the footage, and to be honest, the parachute explanation is kind of flimsy when you watch it.
I think we're showing it.
Here it is.
It looks like almost like a target, or almost like
that's the object.
Flash Gordon 1930s Art Deco type
You should be able to start to see the hood that comes into shot in a moment.
So it's like
you're about to see it now, I think.
It looks like a giant target, and then
it leaves a sort of trail behind it.
A sort of speed trail of light.
It's moving around really.
That's the camera though catching that, the video.
But I think people were saying it was like a flare that was shot up or something.
So that looks like, just to be clear, that looks like, you know, the Christmas decorations on your tree?
Yes.
You know, the star type ones?
The snowflake, an actual snow crystal.
Like that. You should...
The video, it's because it's that camera, a dark camera, and it's obviously very bright, so it's leaving an imprint as it flies around.
But also, you can't actually see the thing that made it look like a parachute in the shot. But it's kind of cut out in this. You see what looks like a parachute-shaped circling around it, but it's actually just a lens.
And who videoed that?
Well, that's one of the videos that was released by the Department of War.
Because you can see, for those people who are listening rather than watching, you can see all the big black redacted boxes on
that's
there.
like altitude,
exactly,
depth, and
could the star, could that actually be refraction of light, and it's just so bright that it's causing these arrows?
They think that it's an incredibly bright source of light, which is what that parachute thing was. It was a lens flare,
and it would explain the snow crystal because it's a nature, it's a geometric nature shape of light, just so bright that it's refracting in that sort of star shape.
So you think that's literally natural?
I think it's like just a sphere, and that is so bright that it's causing that star type refraction.
Because obviously there's a thing like Foo Fighters that American pilot jets saw. They called them Foo Fighters during the Second World War because they were literal balls of light. And that's probably what that is.
And that's where the band got the name from?
No, it's the other way around. They love the band, the Aliens, and
they named them after the
so
it's like he told me that Spandau Ballet was the name for people wriggling at Spandau prison after they were hung.
When their legs were kicking as they were hanging, they called it the Spandau Ballet.
That's ruined Gould for me. Gould.
So any other data that
Nazi
you've got to release for us? Be gentle.
Always
there are some slight...
I heard this story's true.
There are some slight interesting...
Sorry.
in the files, whereas there's a thing with some FBI correspondence that have been released. There were some letters shared between some investigators and people in the FBI, and it seems like an FBI agent was present at a UFO crash. But they were refusing to comment on it any further. They said the reason why we had an agent at the scene of this site was if it was related to anything we were doing, but it wasn't, so it was carried over by a different department.
What do you think about Elon Musk? They've said, you know, he's got thousands of satellites and cameras in space, and he says, no, if I would have seen it if it's there. Do you not think he's probably got secret, you know, he has to sign documents?
He'll have the information
with the government, so he can... Anyway, look, a caller's flooding about this. Tony in Lancashire. Tony, what about... let's have a listen. Skinwalker Ranch, he wants to talk about.
Have you ever seen it? Good evening, Andre and Ash. Good to see you. I like your laugh.
It's my current laugh, so I've been working on it for a minute, a couple of months. You what?
About Skinwalker
Tell us what Skinwalker Ranch was again.
Skinwalker Ranch,
let's just go over it.
Skinwalker Ranch is a place...
Wait, hold on, Tony. We've got to explain to listeners Skinwalkers what it is.
Skinwalker Ranch is a place in America. I believe, is it in New Mexico, I think?
Yeah, Utah.
Utah, oh, sorry.
It's in New Mexico and
what's
Utah.
What's the Skinwalker then? What's the Skinwalker?
Forgive me, but basically there's people... People have
lived in New Mexico,
lived on the ranch, and they claim to have seen all sorts of creatures, all sorts of, you know, dogs disappearing,
psychedelic drugs,
ghosts and ghoulies.
Probably.
Tony, what do you want to say about it?
I think there is something going on. It's crazy. All the experiments, what they've been doing, it's absolutely crazy.
The ranch was bought by a billionaire called Robert Bigelow, because of because of the phenomenon.
BB.
And then,
Bobby Bigelow.
And so they're now... I don't think he still owns it, but there's still operations going on there.
What do you mean operations?
Well, their scientific teams are there monitoring things.
What's cutting up aliens and stuff?
Well, there's cattle mutilation, there's UFO sightings, there's weird shape-shifting going on. It's and then also poltergeist activity.
And the experiments with the computers, and they've sent like what do you call them rockets, lasers, them drones, and all sorts. It's absolutely mad what they're
and the site has a lot of spiritual significance to Native Americans as well.
Well, it's like one of these burial sites has been desecrated.
Like ley lines and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think they
I thought a ley line was like if you'd slept with somebody and they'd slept with somebody, and they'd say that was a ley line.
Yeah.
That's what I thought that was.
Anyway, Tony, are you satisfied? Are you satisfied with that? Are you satisfied? You're sated? Are you happy?
Anyway, just last thing before I go.
Aye.
Right, what do you think about this, right?
Aye.
You got people mourning about Nigel Farage about this $5 million for security. One, I think he should have got the security himself.
Of course he should. It's a disgrace.
Right, you got David Beckham who got $10 million from Qatar from European Cup or World Cup last time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What?
Make it make sense.
Well, that's not got nothing to do with that. You've ruined our mystery section. You've ruined the mystery of it.
Yeah, David Beckham is a lizard.
David Beckham's
Sorry, does David Icke believe David Beckham's a lizard?
Yeah, he will be, won't he?
I don't know.
David Icke is a bit spent, isn't he?
I couldn't possibly.
He needs a career change. You know, he used to be a goalkeeper for Coventry, then he was a snooker commentator, then he was Green Party spokesman. Yeah, that's right. Green
Party. I've got on it with Beckham. He were a good goalkeeper, actually.
He was a good goalkeeper.
He played
for Coventry.
God. The thing about Beckham is he was a good goalkeeper.
We can do Talk Sports better than they can. Don't worry about
Even
that.
I know Beckham wasn't a goalkeeper.
Anyway, Tony, thanks.
Goal scorer.
You know,
he said goalkeeper, didn't he?
Yeah, he said goalkeeper. He did, yeah. Beckham was no good as a goalkeeper, was he?
Well, he might have been, but he wasn't famous for it.
No.
It's like
it's a striker.
Oh God! Let's just.
No,
I mean, it just amazes me this time of night. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. I think we should try and go for an early bath.
Yeah, get rid of these guys. Yeah, get them out of the mystery. What are you going to be talking about next week with your mystery
stuff? We're not here next week, but the week after we'll be talking about how it's possible that William Shakespeare was actually Sir Francis Bacon,
and we might even have an interview.
Oh, that's quite interesting.
The Blue Peter presenter.
No, not the nobleman.
So it's quite often said that William Shakespeare was not written by William Shakespeare.
And the first folio that was released after he died, all his works contain these codes that Sir Francis Bacon developed. That's basically
does the argument go that because he was a Tudor propagandist, principally, William Shakespeare, that there was nervousness that an aristocrat, if he put his name to it and the Tudors were deposed?
Yes, that's because there's a lot of sort of controversial stuff in that writing.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, most of Shakespeare's work, at least to some extent, trashed the monarchies that came before the Tudors.
And there's a bit more of an extreme theory that Sir Francis Bacon might have been an illegitimate heir born from Queen Elizabeth when she disappeared for a period.
It wouldn't surprise me that she had a child. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack, but we will get into it because it's very interesting.
The Anunnaki. Well, thanks, guys. We look forward to not next week because I can't be bothered to do it next week. The week after, when we're talking about all that sort of thing.
Next week they're having a Barclays.
Jabulon and where are you going next week?
It's a party I can't get out.
All right, I'm going to a party, right?
I'll still be around.
Oh, will you?
Oh, well, you can do it.
Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll get Matt on his own. Yeah, that'll be very quiet.
He doesn't know about Shakespeare and the codes.
Oh, he'll learn.
He doesn't know about any of it. He just sits there.
Exactly.
He just sits there sweating.
Yeah, and that's why we like him. Yeah. Anyway, back next week with half of them, and the week after with both of them. And it's Andre and Ashton for the last bit. It's all about your calls, and we'll be talking to our great mate Benedict Fletcher.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, yes, and I'll be back this morning from 6, and Ellie Hodges will be joining me, and she was on Andre and Ash earlier. Get out, Mark, your show's later anyway. Earlier today, Starmer was basically trolling the UK and saying anyone who goes to this UK, what's it called, the UK Unite the Kingdom March is basically a far-right, terrible person, a thug and a criminal. In fact, let's just have a look at this disgrace of a PM that we've got.
Tomorrow's march in London is a reminder of what we're up against in the battle of our values. The organisers, including convicted thugs and racists, are peddling hatred and division, plain and simple. Their goal is to convince people that Britain's problems are caused by those living alongside them. But that is not the Britain that I know. This is a country built on decency, fairness and respect. A country that is at its best when people from different backgrounds come together in common purpose. This is our country, with a majority who share those values, a majority who may not always be as loud, but must always define who we are. So, my government will not stand in the way of peaceful protest, but we will act decisively against hatred. We will use the full force of the law when that hatred manifests as violence. And we will ban those coming into the UK who seek to stir it up, as we have done already. Because this country belongs to all of us. And I will not tolerate anyone who seeks to stand in the way of that.
Well, let's go straight to Danny, who is Sikh, and he is going to the rally tomorrow. Danny, tell us.
Hi, thank you very much. I am going to the rally tomorrow because I choose to judge people on the content of their character, not on things they can't choose. And I can guarantee you, per capita, there will be a lot more ethnic minorities, cultural differences, blah, 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 black, white, Asian, blue, purple, or whatever. But that is where the minorities, I don't even consider myself a minority because I'm not treated any different to anybody else. But the government always talk about the quantitative data rather than the qualitative data. So you can obviously use numbers to amount to how many people vote, what expenditure of a household is, etc. But you also need to take into account quality data. I don't mind paying extra for my groceries if that means I don't have to worry about my niece's
safety.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. So what you're saying is congratulations. I like the fact that I can order my ready specs for £1 and it'd be delivered for free. But if the cost of that is uncontrolled immigration and my niece gets raped, then I'm afraid I'm going to have to pay £2 for the glasses.
That is a very straightforward.
Yeah, it's a bit of a harsh way, but it's sort of what you mean. But are you worried? What do you think about what Starmer said? Have you seen what he said? Did you see earlier? We just played a clip of it. That disgraceful. You haven't seen it.
I have heard what Starmer said, and my reply to what he said is: look at the stand-up to racism protests. Most of them that turn up are white, middle class people, and the funny thing is, there's more people per capita will attend tomorrow, and it's kind of it's kind of silly because the middle class white people who choose to tell us to do what they're saying, not what.
Probably a small amount of middle class white people.
I've got to be honest with you, Danny. I went to the last Unite the Kingdom rally as a journalist. it's not really my sort of thing to go to. It's not really aimed at me. It's aimed at kind of working class people who don't have a voice. Obviously, I'm a presenter on a TV show. I do have a voice. But I have to say, I think the suggestion that they were racist thugs is a bit of a stretch.
Well, are you, as a Sikh man, you Keir Starmer saying you're a far-right racist thug. What do you say to him calling you that?
The beauty of that argument from Keir Starmer is I'm brown, I have a long beard, long hair. I mean, I'm everything he thinks that people will be racist too because they're stupid. Also, the Green Party candidate who was on last week on Question Time, she basically alluded to the fact that if you're poor, that will mean that alludes to you being racist. But
yeah, I find it disgusting.
The working class communities, we live literally on top of each other and we get along. Yeah. And you know what? Like I said, even Keir Starmer, it's all he wants is do as I say, not as I do. Because they do not.
Well, in that case, Danny, as somebody who is Sikh, as somebody who's got the long hair, the beard, do you have the turban as well?
No,
okay.
I don't really wear. I mean, I could, but I don't really. I just.
But as somebody who is from an ethnic minority, what if it wasn't me and Asher sat here, if it was Keir Starmer sat here, what would you say to him? So imagine you're talking to Keir Starmer now.
You know what?
Hello, Danny. How can I help you?
Yeah. Well, okay. What I will say to Keir Starmer is stop telling us what we feel and what we want, because the vast majority of the country, we need change, not change of leadership. We need a general election. And if you, like I said, you need to really take into account the positive aspect of it, which is how people feel. Do they feel safe? Do they feel like they enjoy living the way they do? Do they enjoy having 20 men placed on their street? It's absolutely...
But what happens when Keir Starmer responds by saying, but you are somebody whose family are, I'm about to say presumably, who are originally from India? Obviously, the Sikhs have been a huge contributor to the United Kingdom. I personally support a Sikh regiment being returned into the British Army, but there you have it. If it wasn't for multiculturalism, you wouldn't be in Britain and we wouldn't benefit from people like you.
No, that is a fallacy. Multiculturalism is basically enjoying both cultures. But the thing is, we are human beings and our cultures align, and they align very well.
Multiculturalism is just an anti-white code. It's a bit like Zionism, because you never say, "Oh look, Tokyo is not multicultural." You never say India, it's not multicultural. It's only white. It's only white countries. They go, "Oh, it's not multicultural." So it's just anti-white racism.
And as they always say, South America is for the South Americans, Africa is for the Africans, Asia is for the Asians, China is for the Chinese, Europe is for everyone.
In order to grow, we need to be real. If this was happening in India, where they were saying, "Oh, there's not enough Chinese people in the countrysides in India,"
which there aren't actually. There aren't enough Chinese people in the Indian countryside.
No, I'm just using it as an example. That would be absurd. But in the UK, you can say there's not enough.
The countryside's racist here.
No. Yeah, there's too many white people.
But can you
Milk's white.
Can you imagine standing up in Mecca saying the major problem with Saudi Arabia is that the Shinto faith is not respected enough? Right? They would never say that. The reality is, the view of a lot of these people is that white people were born evil. There is an original sin that we are responsible for racism.
And they're not a real culture like we are.
Yeah, because you didn't invent curry. You're not a real culture.
Yeah. Well, we're actually, the Western culture has invented the modern world.
Yeah, in fact, actually, I will answer this question in somewhat of a philosophical way, you wouldn't even be able to enter Mecca if you're not a Muslim. So let's talk about that.
Just Mecca bingo, that's the only Mecca you're getting into.
Unless you can shout that lad, then you are not, like, that argument is basically flawed from the start.
Great. All right. Well, look, I think we had Robert from Hertfordshire, but we struggled. By the way, put Tony in Lancashire back through. Put him straight on. The reason is because he wants to talk about this rally tomorrow, didn't he?
Tony. All right, Tony.
Tony, you phoned at the wrong time before.
I was listening to that caller about Indians. My daughter's Indian, and she saved my life. She had a massive heart attack. So how can they say that about people like that? You know what I mean?
Saved your life.
Yeah, but Tony, with respect, if your daughter was anything and she said, "I'm not saving him, he's a white dude," that would be slightly odd.
And what if she hadn't been all right? You'd say they should all be kicked out of the country. It's a
he wouldn't say that. He'd be dead.
It's not a way. Yeah, that's true.
He'd be dead.
It's not a way to judge people on whether.
If she hadn't saved his life, he'd be dead. Yeah. Think about that analysis.
She might have been on a bonus.
Yeah, I've got a problem with that because my doctor's Indian.
I thought you said a daughter.
No, he said his doctor. And saved his life. So on that account, he thinks it's all right. I mean, that's not the way to judge whether you should have.
Because I disagree with that last caller.
But don't you think? But don't you think there is an argument that goes? The reason why nurses are coming from the Caribbean, the reason why doctors are coming from India is not because there are far too many nurses and doctors in developing countries. It's because the wages are higher here. And what we are doing is we are expecting, say, St. Vincent, Jamaica, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh to pay for the training of their medical professionals, and then we are taking them away from their own countries in order to treat us instead.
And cutting our own training places for our own British students.
I mean, let's just be clear. Pakistan is not exporting doctors to the UK because every single person in Pakistan is overly supported by the medical profession. It's because we pay more.
And we don't make enough homegrown doctors because we don't make enough places. Tony?
It's a shame, really, yeah. It is a shame.
Oh, is that all you got to say? It's a shame.
There we go, Tony. By the way, can I tell you one thing that I want to do? Before we go to the next break, can we have another watch of the Vox Pops from Makerfield?
Yeah, that was fun, that was.
Those Vox Pops from Makerfield were absolutely sensational. And just to explain, I'm going to pop down to Makerfield and I'm going to be making content. I personally believe that Andy Burnham is going to lose this election. I'll tell you what we'll do. We will get the Vox Pops before the break, but we'll go to Paula in Halifax next. Paula, you're on talk.
Good evening, boys.
Morning.
How are you both hanging?
Yeah, we're doing all right.
Come on, Paula. Come on, man. It's Saturday now. Wakey, wakey. It's Saturday, baby. What's going on?
Come on, love.
Go on, love.
Last night, Andre, what I was trying to remember was I can see you yawning.
I was bored.
See you yawning,
that's a few seconds ago.
Hide it.
I was trying to hide it, yeah, because I was bored listening to you lot.
You've made him yawn.
Oh, give over, you miserable.
What did you call in about, Paul? Are you going on the march tomorrow, are you?
Going on the what?
The march. Unite the Kingdom march.
No,
what did you call in for, Paula? Have you remembered what is it? You just wrote in to say what
I saw you yawning
last night, and it was.
This is Radio
yawning.
Quiet. Do you have a Radio Quiet, mate?
No, I'm bringing it to talk to you both. If you
and then, well, what about though? That's the thing. It's intriguing.
Well, that's what I wanted to say to you about Ash. When James Whale's wife were in, did you do the run, and how much did you raise?
Oh, good question.
Well, it was over £4,000 on the day and £40,000 for the hospice, and we actually raised the most in the James Wales Walkers group, the Bluebells Walk. It was great, yeah, Lady W. And a load of James's friends and people who worked on this show, and our producer, Chuck, so it was a beautiful day. The Bluebell Walk was a lot uphill. But, yeah, we raised tens of thousands altogether because there was a few groups for this hospice.
I'm looking now at the how much it'll take me.
And we'll retweet on at Virtual Ash on Twitter and at Andre JP Walker.
I've still got it on my Twitter.
We'll retweet if anyone wants to donate. It's for the James. It's for the hospice.
Well, it's still pinned to my Twitter.
You what? What, Paula?
I'd like to donate.
We'll go to at Virtual Ash on Twitter. Do you know how to use Twitter?
No, it's pinned on mine.
It's pinned on at Andre JP Walker.
So we got.
You don't have Twitter? Well, I don't know what to do then.
We got.
I mean, we might.
I mean, can she give an email? What's your email? Oh, we can't. So I'll tell you what.
This is simple. I can't give it on live TV.
All right, I got that. On this show, do you remember Mark? Do you remember the time?
Google donate Whaley's. Have you got Google? Have you got a Google machine?
Yes, of course I have.
Well, then Wales Walkers. Google it. Whaley's Walkers, WHALEYS.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember that night. I was plugging. I was doing the overnight, so I was plugging for calls. Mark, who's doing the tech hopping now, and I read out the phone number, and he just said in my ear, "That is your mobile number." That was it. I literally just went 07411.
No, nobody will ring it.
The worst one was when I thought there was a fire at my house, and I said, "Here's my address. Can somebody go round and check?" And someone did.
Have you said what you wanted to say, Paula?
Yeah, I just wanted to know how you're doing. Regarding James.
All right.
And the answer to your question.
I mean, miss him. You know.
The answer to your question of how much had been raised. So we didn't. So
it's not over yet.
This wasn't. So there were various things. The one that we used was 1,655.
Look, $6.5 grand now, over $6.5 grand, isn't it? Or is that $4.5 grand? $4.5 grand. Anyway, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, but there were different ones that we used. So our show donated 2,395, which I think was great.
Wow, fantastic! That's really kind.
And
great.
That was Paula. I like to fade some of the callers out like a 70s song, because we don't get to do that on Talk Radio. So I just... Paula?
Yes?
Just keep... What are you doing tomorrow?
I'm going to Moon.
And that's Paula in Halifax. It's Talk with Andre and Ash. We'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and I think we should just go straight to the phones to Georgina in London. Georgina, how are you? You're on talk.
I'm fine, my darling. How are you? I hope you're well.
Doing all right.
Yeah, man, we're good.
You know what? We're not meant to mention about the adverts, but I do think I'm going to get some olive oil for my ears because having this earpiece in constantly, it's just killing me. Yeah, it's killing me. I can't hear. I'm deaf as a post.
Anyway, Georgina.
Well, I hope you can hear well enough for me to have a rant, because that's what I'm going to do now.
Oh, go for it. You're the lady that goes for it. But I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's mute the mics.
She's world famous.
Let's mute the mics.
We're just going to chill out, and the floor is Georgina's.
Go for it, Georgina.
Away you go.
Well, I listened and watched the video, the hate speech video that Keir Starmer did earlier on today, and he's calling us yet again far-right thugs, bigots, and racist. We're not. We're families with children, we're pensioners, we're disabled people, and we're all attending this rally, you know, not to cause aggravation. We're not going to cause trouble. We're going there to show our pride in our country, which is something Keir Starmer knows nothing about. He talks of decency, but he's got no decency towards the British people. He talks of respect, but he's got none for our country or its population. He talks of fairness when every aspect of our lives is judged on a two-tier system, a system that works against the British citizen and for the foreign nationals. It's all one-way traffic with Starmer. It's either his way or the highway, and we've had enough of being mugged off by this government. Keir Starmer wants us to make our United Kingdom a hodgepodge of cultures that don't want to assimilate into our society, so much so that they want to bring their own laws and traditions into our country, disregarding our laws and our traditions. We want... You know, we are going to the rally to object the fact that this government is allowing thousands of undocumented men from other cultures into our country, where the abuse of women and children is everyday common practice. These men should not be able to roam our streets free. And then, you know, and they're very much mistaken if they and our government think that we're going to continue to tolerate this abuse anymore. We are the host country, the host nation. And Starmer should be prioritising our flag, our culture and traditions, but because he's a globalist, he prioritises every other culture before our own. We're called the United Kingdom for a reason, and that's because we are indeed united, and this is what the rally's all about. Our unity is our strength, and Starmer will see that tomorrow. This abhorrent Prime Minister is trying to incite unrest, violence and disorder tomorrow. He's made that abundantly evident in his video, and it's clear that he hates those that don't agree with his Orwellian dystopian agenda. He's a dangerous man, Ash.
Another 4 minutes, please, Georgina.
And his pathetic party that are causing the division in our country. You know, we're not far right. We are right, and that is what this is all about.
Hey! That was magnificent. Have you ever thought about going into politics, Georgina? Because I know the other day you went viral, didn't you? And not in a bad way.
Well, the thing is, I think people now in this country are waking up to what's going on.
Yes, very much so. They're running scared. That's why Starmer did that today, and it's a bit of a worry how it's all looking.
But what they want to do is crack down on free speech in order to stop it. Starmer's solution is not to say there are legitimate concerns. I mean, remember... Nigel Farage surges in the local elections and Keir Starmer makes a speech saying, I know how to solve the problem, let's cosy up to the EU. Now, as I said yesterday, if you voted for Nigel Farage, one way that you're not going to be endeared to the Labour Party is if the Labour Party rejoins the EU.
Oh, yeah, well, the thing is, we had a democratic vote to leave the EU. And I think Keir Starmer thinks that democracy only goes one way.
Well, that was when we first saw it, wasn't it, after Brexit? And it was really shocking what they did. And ever since then, we've not really lived in a proper democracy.
Well, we haven't had democracy since then. And we're losing a little more day by day.
Salami slicing our rights. And jury systems.
Yeah. We're losing
political prisoners.
Well, the thing is, we've got to make a stand at some point, and I think now the people of Britain want to make a stand and tell them that enough is enough.
Thomas says that you rock.
Oh, bless him,
Georgia rocks.
Oh, bless his heart.
He calls you Georgia. It's Georgina.
I do. You can call me what you want, but
somebody said, "Do you ever sleep?" Because you phone up a lot of channels.
Yeah. I sleep about 2 hours a night.
Yeah, because you can't. With the world like it is in this country, how can you sleep at a time like this?
Well,
there's no time for sleeping.
I do watch talkTV all the time. I don't watch mainstream media because if I want to listen to bullshit, I'll listen.
Yeah, if you want to listen to bullshit. But talking of which, after us is Benedict Fletcher. Are you going to be listening to Benedict Fletcher? He's TalkSport and
Well, before we talk to Ben Fletcher, let's go to Cindy, because we did say we'd take
Cindy,
her call.
yeah, Cindy and Georgina. You're still on, Georgina. Hi, Cindy. Talk to
Hi, is Georgina on the line?
Yeah, talk to Cindy.
I am on the line, my God, Georgina! I'm a big fan of yours. I love listening to you speak. Oh, but are you watching what's going on in our country at the moment? What do you think about it,
Can you show Ben getting ready?
I watch all the time, and it
great
really
shirt.
Right now, it's pissing me the F off. Your Prime Minister is crazy. I think he's trying to stir the pot. And, in listening...
You've got to lick the spoon. If you stir the pot in this country, you have got to lick the spoon. And I think spoon-licking time has come for Keir Starmer.
I think he's been licking spoons.
Who prefers a spoon or lick?
And, in listening to his speech about Unite the Kingdom, I picture people with spray painting swastikas and, skinheads. He paints this lovely march that's going to take place.
Guys,
it's so ugly.
Guys, we're going to leave it there simply because I do want to talk to Ben Fletcher. He's going to be on all night. Really, really important thing for me, this incident that's taken place. As you know, Danielle Nichols, who co-hosts with me, her husband, Dean Holden, deputy manager of Hull City. What on earth is going on with these playoffs and this spying incident?
Yeah. Well, I thought we were going to talk about Villa first of all.
Well, incredible win, Liverpool 4-2. Villa guaranteed in Champions League next year, although they would be anyway, maybe if they win it. So what's you talking about Villa? I was with some of the old greats at Alan Brazil's lunch and meat charity day today. I was with Dino and Cascarino and Frank McEwen. They're all great. Well, he wasn't there because he's recuperating, Alan, from the operation. He looks really thin. He looks like when he was a player and was thinner, but he still had that sense of humour, and he's recuperating nicely. He was swimming a bit today. So, it's all looking good, man, and he'll be back.
What have they done, giving him a new liver?
No, I think it's he had a life-saving operation, but he's all back on the mend now. So what else? What else?
In answer to Andre's question, good morning, by the way. The playoff picture is absolutely insane.
Tell us the story. They were spying.
Southampton accused of spying on Middlesbrough training sessions.
So they have a photo of the assistant manager, is it?
Of a member of the coaching team. Let's be absolutely clear, by the way. This isn't some high-tech, drone sort of thing.
But this has always gone on, hasn't it?
Well, Leeds got punished for this some years ago, and they were clipped for about, I think, £200,000.
So just to be clear, you're not allowed to film the other team practicing.
Yeah, it's gaining an unfair advantage.
But now we've got the drones and everything.
Yeah. But they didn't do that. I mean, to be fair, it was a low-tech thing. It was a bloke with an iPhone.
Yeah, but they still did it. And ultimately, the big problem is, obviously, Southampton and Middlesbrough in the playoff semi-final. Southampton just about got the better of Middlesbrough, and Middlesbrough have said, well, they don't think the Saints should be in the final. Which is supposed to be next week, but the way things are carrying on, that could be delayed.
By the way,
because the FA are investigating.
Did it look like they had an advantage? Did they get advantage from it?
Well, they beat them. I mean,
was there a set piece where they knew what was going to happen and stuff like that?
It's hard to say.
That's going to be the point. Football legal expert Stephen Borson was on talkSport earlier in the week, and he said, how do you definitively prove that they got the advantage?
Just to be clear,
you prove they did it.
If he did a free kick and he was looking at that free kick, that was him.
Just to be clear. The Sun wrote in its article about this that the winner of the playoffs, who will be promoted to the Premier League, that one match will be worth £265 million to the winner.
It's the most valuable match in world football.
Now let's just make another point about this. I was watching a programme about a guy from the CIA. Right, and what he said, actually, you don't take sophisticated spying equipment, because if you get found with a high-definition drone or whatever, then people know what you're up to. So actually, this could be a sophisticated, if you like, project without it using sophisticated equipment.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And ultimately, we've all seen the pictures of the sort of shady-looking chap outside the training ground. Now, Paul Hawksby's been superimposed onto one of them. I saw this week from talkSport.
Was he there?
Yeah. Well, superimposed. I think he was trying to get the advantage of one of the games they played.
Just a matter of interest, Ben. I understand that you're a sports reporter rather than a lawyer. What could happen here?
Worst case scenario for Southampton, there's talk that they could be disqualified from the playoffs. But then the problem with that is, this is the biggest game in English football.
There could be legal ramifications in the arbitration.
Well, it depends how far Middlesbrough want to take it. I mean, Simon Jordan, TalkSport Simon Jordan, former Palace owner, said if he was up at Middlesbrough, if he was Steve Gibson, the chairman, he'd be saying to Saints, look, I'll walk away from this. Let's do a deal. You're going to get £200 million if you get promoted to the Premier League. Well, maybe not 100, 50, 20, something, and we'll go away.
And we'll forget it.
But ultimately...
Could they launch a legal action at the arbitration or even at the High Court?
It gets very tricky.
But if you think about it, if I go to a casino now and the casino has rigged the game against me, I can sue the casino for the money I put down. They have defrauded me, right? The reality is you have effectively entered into a contract with the FA and indeed Southampton that the game will be played in a certain way. If your total loss is 265 million, which by the way they'd have to beat Hull to lose that amount. But now my next question is, and you've only got 30 seconds to answer it, can the FA disqualify Middlesbrough?
It all depends on interpretation of the rules. Some are saying that there could be a sporting sanction, and that's certainly what Borough want, a sporting sanction, because ultimately a financial fine, who cares?
So point deduction, which would mean they wouldn't qualify.
But then what does that mean for the rest of the playoffs? Does that mean that Hull go up by default? Does that mean that then Middlesbrough, and they're then in the final? It's a real mess.
Could they replay it?
Is this sort of thing regular? Does this happen often?
No, the last one was Leeds in about 2019, and they got fined, but they're now